Okay. He said he'll be on in a second. I expect to drink that. What is up, everybody? I'm Thor Gunderson. I'm here with my other half of Darth Castle today for our spoiler active review on a special Sunday edition of SITH Happens. And we're going to dissect this. We got a full boat. We got a lot of Star Wars aficionados here today. But first, I want to introduce our special guest, Mr. Garry Speed, coming to us from the UK. And how you doing today, Brother Garry?
Yeah, I'm not doing too bad, my brother Thor Gunderson. How are you? And all my medical brothers throughout the whole world, how are you all?
Hey. Oh, we got parentage right on time. We got our bounty hunter, and like they announced it now, Paradox is an official member of SITH Happens every week. So you know we got the dark side, we got Obi-Wan, and we got bounty hunter from Jabba's finest. What's happening, bro?
Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going?
Oh man, we good. And
is my
wait, bro.
Mike is okay?
Yeah, Mike's okay.
Okay, good.
And we have Obi-Wan Kenobi with us today, coming back from Force Ghost World. Obi-Wan, can you join us, bro?
Nice.
Double saber.
Wow. Obi-Wan's back. Nice.
Ready for my
as always, we have Mr. Richard Melbourne, the man behind the curtain. What's up, bro? It was a sticky situation, believe you me. We can't get into that, but
that's the best Force Phantom I've ever seen. Anyway, moving on.
So we are here. You know, everybody's seen the movie. If you have not seen the movie, turn this off because we're gonna dissect it, and we're gonna get into every spoiler, everything, what we thought about it, and we're gonna go act by act here, and not just the regular breakdown, but we're gonna break down everything. So right now we want to focus on the opening sequence, the battle, the escape. What did we think about it? Paradox, you want to start the opening sequence, the bomb run?
Okay. Actually, that was probably one of my favorite parts of the movie was the bombing run. It had like, with that starting off, it set the tone for the movie. It was like, all right, cool. This is like a cool scene. You got Poe Dameron showing his skills as a skilled pilot. And he took out like pretty much all the cannon. Really cool, and just showing you like, okay, good. This is what we wanted for in the Star Wars movie is like a good space battle, and with the whole like scene with him and Hux, it was I felt like it was kind of forced. But he made up for it with his fight sequence against the Dreadnought and everything else. I mean, he took out a Dreadnought almost by himself. I thought that was pretty cool.
I did too. That was one of my favorite parts of the movie too. Rodney, what do you think?
Oh yeah, I think Poe was a star on that part. That you didn't get to see much of his skills in the Force Awakens, so to see him shine right there early on in a great space action scene. That was a great start to the movie.
Yeah, what'd you think, bro?
Yeah, I mean, I thought, oh my god, when you see the battle scene on that, I thought we're in for a real treat here. If that's the opening sequence, what's the rest of the film going to be like for us to see? The only thing that, as soon as I saw Aid Edmondson, you know, on the Imperial ship, I thought, we could be in for a bit of a trouble. And when Poe was talking to Hux, like as if he's making a phone call to him, I think to myself, what's all that about? You know, you're in the middle of a battle, and then I know it's delaying tactics, but in real life, I mean, obviously from the previous films, like, you know, from the first 6, you don't do that. I was sitting there, I was sitting there with my wife, I was sitting there thinking, and one minute I'm going, oh my God, what a great battle scene, and then next minute I'm thinking, what's all this? And I'm like confused already before we even got to the next scene. I'm like, what's going on? You know, but you know, the main battle scene I thought was really, really good. It was just that like the call up, you know. I know I can't speak to General Hux, you know. And I'm thinking you wouldn't do that, you know. When the Star Wars films ever been like that, you know. And to me, I felt I was a little bit disappointed with that bit, but the main battle scene, superb. You know, I thought we're on to a winner here. But that was just my take on that bit anyway.
Right. Yeah, Chris.
Yeah, I think the phone call, even though it did, it brought some humor and some sarcasm. I have to agree with you guys that where do you find the time to do that when all I have to do is blow them right out of the sky? So, but what I did like about the battle scene was, you know, how those bombers were going so darn slow. I mean, I actually felt my stomach tightening up. Like, man, you know, are they going to get there? And then it just the shock and awe, bloody battle of just, you know, even the good guys doing their best, not good enough. You know, taking out that dreadnought, I think was super awesome. I thought some of the cheekiness could have waited, but all in all, I liked it again, and it's that's pretty much it, really. I mean, I liked it, and I think I could either beat it up a little bit and peel it apart, or I can just say, you know, it was a good battle scene, and we just go from there. Because there's much more of the movie I like to talk about, so I'm gonna go ahead and push forward.
I'll go next. Can you guys hear me, by the way? Because people were saying Can you guys in the chat hear me now? Just let me know. Hear me now, man. Ian, can you hear me now? Because you said you couldn't hear me before. So I just want to make sure these guys understand. Wait till they get back to me on that one. I don't want to be talking and...
You want me to go?
No, they can hear me. It's fine. The opening battle scene. Do you know what? It was. I thought that was an amazing scene. I mean, I get the humor. I get, yeah, it's probably misplaced, but it's that Poe sort of. This was sort of in Poe. We know it was from the. So do you talk first? Do I talk first? Line from Force Awakens. We knew that this is the kind of character he was. I'm not saying maybe it wasn't misplaced. I'm just saying there was a precedent for Poe's humor and how he deals with officers and stuff. And so maybe that they kind of took that and took it to the next level, which maybe they shouldn't have. But I get it was delaying tactics. He was basically messing with him so that he could get everything set up for the run. The bomber scene. I loved that the intensity of the bit where she's on her back in the actual bomber and she's kicking the thing, and is she going to get it? And I thought they were going to do a real sort of Empire It's Terrible thing where she misses it and they all die and everybody. You know, I mean, I thought, is this it? Like, I thought, is this going to be? Is this how it's going to be really terrible? But she caught it. And she released the bombs and it blew up the dreadnought. I like that entire scene, to be honest. I think I liked how old-fashioned the bombers looked. It looks like about the interior looked like a bit an old B-52 or something. Like, it really looked sort of. It didn't look like a Imperial ship, did it? It really looked like it was sort of old-fashioned and like they've been around for centuries from the old Resistance. So I like that part of it. I like the fact that it picked up just from. Technically, Rey could have been set off an hour a day, we don't know, and it's come straight back to them, and they're getting... Obviously, they've tracked the ship coming from somewhere, and they're coming to get the Resistance. So I liked all that. I mean, I get the humour bit, but as far as this sequence, I don't think we can pull it apart too much.
Well, for me, I love the sequence. I love the scene. The part that bothered me about that scene was actually the bombers, because as old school Star Wars fans know, the Y-wings are the bombers in the Rebel fleet. And I was like, well, why aren't they using Y-wings? You know what I mean? And they got X-wings, they got everything else. Where the Y-wings at? Those are the bombers, you know. But you know, I could understand it because the way they did the scene, you know, with the, like you say, Richard, with the girl in the back and the controller falling and everything. But that was like the first thing I thought about. I was like, when they said these are the bombers, I said I was looking for Wild Wings. You know what I mean? As far as the call goes, when they did it the first time, it didn't bother me. But he kept saying, "All right, I'm holding for." Yeah, that did get annoying. And like Garry said, you know, this isn't some, you know, that typically you see in a Star Wars movie. So it became annoying real fast, you know. But piggybacking off of that, how do we feel about Snoke using the Force on Hux on the bridge? And Chris, what do you think about that?
Well, I like that that hesitation, that nervousness that he was trying to keep under his uniform, so to speak. But then as soon as Snoke showed up, and then just smacked him down, like, you know, I won't use any bad words, but anyway, just slammed him and, you know, spun around, and he comes up with a bloody lip. It's like it definitely showed his power, but it also, I think, it undermined his authority on the bridge, because it's like, well, hey, this guy's in charge of this whole fleet. And now you got the big man basically spanking him down in the face, you know, and it's like, okay, now are these guys going to trust his decision in the future? Is it going to cause division amongst the other senior officers? But outside of that, I just the raw, untapped, blatant use of the Force to control or show dominance, I thought was impressive. But as a leadership style, I think it definitely undermined what General Hux could do. So. Yeah, that's. I mean, there's other parts of the movie where he does something very similar. So I will pass it on to you guys.
Well, I definitely feel the same way. Hux did not have a good movie at all. He got thrown around a few times, Jack. You know what I mean? And we'll get to it later. But I like when he was about to pull out on Kylo, and he got up. You know, but yeah, Snoke. Basically, that was a replay of, you know, Vader from Empire, and that was one of my favorite parts of the movie. When the guy turns around and he's choking him out, and you failed me for the last time, Admiral. You know what I mean? So we've seen that before, but you know, fortunately for Hux, he survived this one. And Rodney, what you think?
Yeah, I mean, I like the scene. I thought it was a good display of Snoke's power. It's, you know, I don't have to be there face to face with you. I can F you up from a hologram. And it was you're not in charge. I'm the guy in charge. So, you know, it was like you said, it was a replay of kind of the Vader power play. It's like, if you're not doing right, I'm gonna choke you out or something. So I like the scene. I thought it was a good display of, you know, his power and his range. I can get to you without being right there in front of you.
Garry, what you think, bro?
Well, to be honest with you, chaps, when I saw that scene in the cinema, I actually punched my arms up in the air and shouted that yes, because we've finally seen, you know, Snoke. He's like what he can do, like power wise, and I'm thinking, yes, this guy's badass. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna mess about with him. You know, he's gonna be as bad as Emperor Palpatine, and like I'm so looking forward to now seeing him in the rest of the film. You know, and you know, and I thought, you know, this is really a good scene moving forward for the rest of the film. And so I was really happy about seeing that. That was cool.
Paradox.
Yeah, definitely agree with you guys. Like Snoke really showed his power in this part, and kind of like I was laughing. You know, I was pretty much laughing at the part like, you know, when he was like, "All right, I'll take it in my quarters," and then next you know he just shows up and like. Snoke starts beating up on Hux, and you know, and I have to say, Hux got beat up a lot this movie. I mean, he got broken ribs, you know, bloody lip, but like I have to agree with Garry. It gave me like chills down my spine, like, you know, like wow, here is Snoke, this powerful being, like not only just like being able to force choke, you know, like how Vader did in Empire Strikes Back, where he force choked the guy through the telecoms, but he's actually, you know, force pushing him down to the ground and pulling him around, and just shows you like how powerful as a force user. And I was really excited at that point to see. All right, pretty much I got really excited and can't wait to see like what else like Snoke had to offer for the rest of the movie.
Richard?
What did I think? I think Snoke's was. I was like, I thought Snoke's a badass. I mean, he wasn't on the same ship as Hux at the time, so to do that across space, and you know what I mean, a lot of space. We're not talking like from here to the moon. Showed a lot of his power. I liked when he turned him around just because he didn't like to look at that ugly officer that was at the front of the ship. I thought, well, that's pretty nice. You know, he fancied a better view. He likes looking that way, so he turned him around. He was like, yeah, I don't know what that was about. I don't really know why a hologram would need to turn someone around, but he did. Maybe I think it was just to show his power a bit more. Like I can make it, what he should have done is made him do like the splits or something, or do a little dance or something. I thought that would have been pretty cool. Like just make him doing this while he's talking to him and be even more undignified, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? So yeah, I like the scene. I thought it was a really good scene. It's our first real see of Snoke's power, so it kind of, like Garry said, it set up what was going to happen.
But even piggybacking off of that, that was more impressive because with Vader, they were all in the same fleet. Snoke wasn't anywhere to be found. You don't know where he was, and he just reached out and moved your boy like that. But moving on, I got everybody. Yeah, okay. Yeah. We're going to Luke's first appearance when he tossed the lightsaber on the Rey on the island.
Oh my God, man!
And
oh yeah.
Look like it's not a popular subject here.
Garry don't like people who toss the lightsabers. He's not.
Gary, let's get it out the way, Garry. Hit us with it, bro.
Don't seriously. I was sitting there with my partner, and I looked at her. I thought, "What the hell is going on?" And I thought, is this a Star Wars film, or is this like child's play film, or what? You know what I mean? He just chucked it over his shoulder. I'm thinking, no, this ain't right. You know what I mean? It's like, this is meant to be a serious film. Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell's going on? And I'll be honest with you, when that happened, my heart sank a bit, to be honest with you. Because I then started thinking to myself, well, I've gone from the start off, the battle scene was really good. So then obviously the situation with the phone call, and then we've got Snoke and Hux with the power. And then we got cut to the scene to Rey with Luke and the lightsaber, and he's just chucked it over his shoulder. I'm thinking to myself, is this a film or a comedy? Right. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, with me being a diehard fan like all the rest of you guys for many years, and obviously people from across the world being fans, if I'm feeling that way, what is everyone else feeling? I know obviously you've got younger generations coming up to watch the films and that, and obviously you've got to try and put a bit of humour in for the children who are going to be watching the films for years to come. But to do that, it's like, to me, I thought that was like disrespectful. Like, I don't know, that's just me. I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I was a little bit deflated when I saw that piece. I thought, what to think, But
Paradox.
I have to agree with Garry. We waited 2 years. I mean, that was the end of The Force Awakens, where you got left off, as Mark Hamill would say, it was a cliffhanger on the edge of the cliff. And, we waited 2 years, and then we got to that point, because, the whole Dreadnought scene, yes, that was cool and all, but I was waiting. I was like, all right, let's hurry up, and I want to see what's going on with Rey and Luke. And when we got to the scene, it was a joke. Like, how could you make it a joke? Like, we waited 2 years for this. Like, hey, and that lightsaber represented a whole lot. That was Anakin's, that was Luke's. And Luke lost that in Empire Strikes Back. He wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, where the hell did you find it? Right. And that was one of the questions that, we were questioning ourselves was, where was this lightsaber found? And Maz Kanata also said, like, oh, that will be for another time. Okay, well, you build it up and then you make it as a joke. So I totally disagree on what transpired in that scene.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. It was one of the not too popular scenes in the movie. It was a bit of a head scratcher when you wait all that time to get to that point and he just tosses it. And I think part of it is we're getting to a time where maybe the movie makers feel like you can't handle stuff that's too serious. So they got to throw little jokes and stuff and everything. And sometimes it's misplaced. And this was a time when, they shouldn't have put that in there. I saw that scene, and you know, people in the theater giggled, but at the same time, you're like, really? That's kind of that. I feel cheated by that.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I definitely don't think it was that popular of a scene in that movie. It was misplaced. Definitely a misplaced joke. So
the first thing that popped in my mind was when Mark Hamill said that he disagreed with everything Rian Johnson had written about Luke Skywalker. That was, when he threw that lightsaber, that was the first thing that popped in my mind. And you know, it kind of hit me because, again, as I said Friday night, Empire is my favorite movie. Forget Star Wars, my favorite movie, period. So, you know, when he did that, like you say, Paradox, you know, he could at least say, where did you get this? He's just going to toss it?
Yeah.
You know, it was like, come on, man. You know, and all they kept saying on Facebook and all the groups is, what do you think the first thing Luke is going to say? He's just going to toss it. You know what I mean? So that was disappointing, you know, when he did that. I was like, really? You know, but, you know, that's what
I think for that maybe, you know, I was sitting there thinking, so maybe Mark Hamill was upset that he didn't actually get a chance to say a line in episode 7. So they thought, oh, sorry, I'll just throw it over my shoulder.
Right.
You know, he's like, you know,
I swear to God, at the end of episode 7, I yelled out in the theater. I said, he ain't gonna say nothing. I swear to God, that's what I did. And the shit went on.
It just
And
cut off.
yeah, I was like, come on, man. You know, but Chris, what you
What's that?
Chris, what you?
Okay. Yeah, you know, that anticipation that you guys were talking about, waiting 2 years for him to respond, and that epic, you know, climax to that point where, okay, now you've got this Jedi Master in seclusion, and he basically was, and I'm a huge Luke Skywalker fan, was absolutely disrespectful to Rey and everything she's accomplished to find him. And he chucks it over his shoulder, and it basically really cheapened the not only our expectation, but it really cheapened the storyline. It's like they want to soften war a little bit, so it's not so aggressive. Well, war is not friendly. Neither is, you know, good versus evil. I mean, so there is that air of seriousness to it, and I think I don't know if Disney is just trying to make it a little bit more family friendly. I don't know, but I was disappointed with that. Yeah, I did like everyone else. You know, you kind of chuckled because it was unexpected, and then afterwards, I'm like, wait a minute, that's wrong. You know, and then you got later on when Rey goes back to get it, you got a Porg sitting there stepping on it, and then you got another one looking at where the blade comes out.
that was funny. That was funny. Come on, that was funny.
That was hilarious.
I was waiting for it to go off.
Yeah, I was like, that kind of made up for that, that jerk move that, Grumpy Skywalker did. So, other than that, Richard, what do you think?
I'm not going to defend him doing it. I don't think it should have been the first thing that Luke Skywalker does. The only rationale I could think when I tried to, because I'm trying to think, why would the director put it in? Because they didn't put it in for no reason. The only thing I can think is he's been on this island for a long time and he's become a bit quirky, maybe like Yoda was. And then they've tried to replicate that a bit, maybe. About he's a bit quirky, and also he's kind of given up on the Force. We know that he's cut the island off from the Force. He can't feel anything. That's why he can't feel Han. He's fed up with the Jedi. He's read stuff that he says that the Jedi were basically failure and stuff, and he doesn't want anything to do with it. That's the only reason I can think that they thought that'd be a good idea. Now it wasn't a good idea, but that is how I think they felt like it would be a good thing to do. He shouldn't have done that. It was disrespectful to fans. I've said this to people before. The original Star Wars fans like Gary and myself and Chris and that, Lucasfilm and Disney are not thinking about you guys as much as you want to think they are. They're not. They're thinking about how can we make money for the next 30 years, because we're all getting into our 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, maybe 70s. So they're not. We're not going to be their bread and butter for the next 30, 40 years. You know what I mean? Some of us might be, but some of us won't. So they're thinking, okay, well, I need to reinvent this. I think it's a Guardians of the Galaxy effect. I call it that now because people like to put humour in for no reason. And I feel like Disney have thought, let's put a bit more humour in. I think they must have a humour sprinkle meter or something. We've got to sprinkle a bit of humour in every so often, else they're going to forget that it's funny. So I don't think it was a good idea, but I feel like they had a reason, and their reasoning probably was misguided. But I think that they didn't just do it to be disrespectful. I think that they just thought, well, he's quirky, he's been on this island for God knows how long with these caretakers and that, and we'll do a bit of a Yoda callback to him being a bit weird. So I think that's all it was.
So, piggybacking off of that, how do you guys feel about your Luke's life on the island? And you saw him sticking 30-foot spears in the fish and drinking. We found out where the blue milk came from. And also Rey getting pulled to the dark side area of the island. Go ahead, Paradox.
All right, so the blue milk thing, it looked kind of weird because they were just sitting there, and I thought he was gonna like put his mouth in. I was waiting for that. Like he got a water bottle. I thought he was gonna start I don't want to go into it.
Even Ray had to smirk at that one.
Yeah. And the other ones were like blowing off air, I don't know if he was anyway. The life, Luke's life on the island, he was obviously they wanted to create the scenario that he's like a hermit. He shut himself out from everything, the Force, everything that's going around, the galaxy. I just felt maybe the director was trying to say that being alone in the island just probably made him go crazy.
That's
because
saying,
anything like a castaway, maybe they want to set that tone that okay, he just lost it, he just became crazy and he's this old man hermit, just secluded in this island. So I get what the director was trying to do with that. Do I agree with it? A little bit. I just felt I just felt like it wasn't his character to do that. I felt that Luke was always throughout the old trilogy, he was always trying to help, regardless. He would go out his way. Anything he did, he was just trying to find out answers and things like this. But maybe that's his way of finding his own answers, just secluding himself and reading Jedi books, which apparently, didn't matter at some point, according to Yoda. But, and with Rey going there and almost being dived into the dark side, there was in that scene alone, I don't know about you guys, but I thought that she was going to go break into a song and dance when she was snapping her fingers. I thought it was going to be some flash mob scene or they're going to do a dance. I don't know. It just, it didn't represent anything. There was no dark side. It was just her with a bunch of other a reflection of her. I don't know. That scene alone felt kind of weird.
Well, the creatures that he's drawing milk from, I read the visual dictionary today. I got it, and it tells you a lot more about his life and what he basically lives off the land. He finds nourishment and milk from these creatures because he's found out there's a lot of protein in it and stuff like that. And he basically lives off the land. He learns to fish and to hunt, and he doesn't actually, so he can live basically because he still has to eat, he still has to drink, and he doesn't leave the island. Do you know what I mean? I don't think they've got a Tesco or a 7-Eleven around the corner, so they have to literally fish and eat and that. So, and as far as him cutting himself off, I think we learned later on because of what he'd done for the split second he had to Ben Solo. He felt like he'd failed the Jedi Order, he failed his sister, he felt like he failed as a Jedi. So I think he just wanted, he kind of called him, he didn't want anything to do with the Force or to do with the Jedi or anything. I mean, a bit silly, you don't want nothing to do with it, and then you go to the place where there's a Jedi temple. I mean, you're not really thinking that through, are you, Luke? But, you know what I mean? But yeah, I feel like that's probably, and as far as Rey going to the dark side, when those two characters were coming towards her, I was like, what are we going to see here? Is this the scene where Harrison Ford basically comes up and stuff, and we heard that he might be on set on the new film, and I thought, is this the bit where they filmed? I'm like, what are we going to see? And then when they merged into one, I was like, oh, this is not going to go. go well, and then it showed herself, and I was like, okay, that's a bit of a cop out. I was like, they could have made that like we really see who her parents are, and she finds out, and it would have been great if the spoiler. Well, it's a spoiler review, so if you're not looking for spoilers, you're in the wrong place. It'd been great if it was Mark Hamill and someone else or something like that, and then she confronts him about leaving her and stuff like that. There could have been so many good storylines they could have done, but just seeing herself. I mean, Gary, what do you think?
Well, I mean, basically from that scene, obviously with the fish and Ray going down below, to me it was like an island dark side Katina ice bar to me, because like, you know, he's drinking this fluid and she's going down below, and like I think to myself, why has she even gone down there? Like nothing's happening. You know, she's there. We're watching this for about 5 minutes, and she, you know, she's touching and nothing's happening. And to me, I think this, what a waste. We're sitting there watching this film, and we're thinking to myself, why even put that in the film? Because nothing's happened. You know, you might not even bother putting that scene in the film.
Did anyone?
You know,
yeah. Sorry, Gary. Go on.
And like, I mean, in relation to Luke, you know, I can understand with him feeling rejected. You know, especially what happened with Ben. You know, turning on him and him becoming like reclusive. I can understand all that, and I can relate to that. You know, with obviously his actions. But even some of the scenes on the island, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I mean, as a whole, his performance, I thought he'd done really well.
Yeah.
But from watching that scene, I'm thinking, sitting there, so am I watching The Hobbit? You know, I'm like, I'm sitting there, you know, I'm thinking to myself, is this actually a Star Wars film? You know, I'm sitting there looking, I'm all confused. You know, and like, but you know, but apart from that, I think, you know, the way he performed within the film, I thought he'd done very well. But you know, that scene itself, I just think it wasn't needed.
I mean, we may as well talk. We may as well talk about Rey's parents now. We've just mentioned them, but to find out that they are literally no one. They're a pair of drunks that basically sold her. So what was the whole lightsaber scene about in the first one, where she sees this thing, and you hear Ben Kenobi and Rey, these are your first steps, and you know what I mean, and all that, and her saying in the first film, it's obvious who her parents are, like Daisy Ridley. What was the whole thing? Well, I don't know if this is a ruse. This could be a ruse where they're basically saying that they were drunks and her memory's been wiped or been blocked by someone powerful in the Force to stop someone finding out who they actually is. I wouldn't put money on that she's still not a Solo. I don't feel like this story is ended. I feel like this may be just... I mean, what do you think, Paradox, to
that? Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's like her parents are just nobodies. You know, I think that's a ruse on their part. You know, like you said before, like, you know, Force Awakens, they made like so much references. Oh, these are your first steps and blah, blah, blah. I just feel that, in my opinion, I think she has some lineage with someone. And because, you know, she in the whole movie, she's just like lifting rocks and she's so strong, so powerful, so quick, without any training. So I mean, like, I get it. Like, you know, Disney's trying to make it seem like, or in the movie, everyone, they were trying to make it seem like anyone can use the Force. But she's strong with the Force. You know, the little kid at the end used a little bit of the Force to get that broom. But yeah, but for her, she was like lifting rocks. So I think it was just a front. You know, I think Kylo's trying to throw her off. I think Kylo knows the real truth behind who her parents are, and doesn't want her to know, because he might think that she might become more powerful than he is. He might say, "Oh my gosh, like so and so's my parents. I am strong." You know, it'll probably like open up a doorway for her to be like become like a really powerful Jedi. So I don't know, anyone else wants to.
Yeah, I definitely think Kylo used that, you know, your parents are nobody, as a lie, as a way to kind of say, you know what, nobody cares about you, but I care about you. You know, come be with me. because I kind of think Kylo wants some of the Rey juice. I think he wants that.
Who doesn't?
Hell with the dark side. He wants some Rey juice.
He wants some Rey juice.
She wants some Rey juice.
I want some of the blue stuff, baby.
Yeah, it also feels like, though, you know what? She is a threat. She is a threat. So it will benefit me to get her on my side. So I'm gonna make her feel like, damn, nobody gives a damn about you, but I do. So yeah, I don't buy the idea that her parents are from nothing, because she just got good at the Force too fast for me to believe. It was just, you know, she's from nowhere. So
this is what I was expecting to see when she was in that dark side pit. You know, when the two figures were coming and they merged into one, I was praying it was gonna be Palpatine.
Yeah.
That walked up to the, you know, either him or when they showed her, I was expecting to see her with the dark side eyes or whatever. But I was really, I was like, this got to be Palpatine. And that would have really took it to the next, you know, level. As far as Luke, his life on the island, you know, first I'm sitting there thinking, okay, they're trying to make him like Yoda. But, you know, Yoda Yoda was in his right mind the whole time. And I never understood what Yoda was doing until I saw Revenge of the Sith. And when he was throwing Luke's stuff around and he was testing him to see if he was going to get pissed off or get enraged or whatever. And then he asked him, he said, tell me, why must you become a Jedi? You know, it was really no purpose to what Luke was doing. You know what I mean? But Yoda was in his mind, the right mind the whole time. So really you can't compare the two, because, you know, Yoda, everything Yoda did with Luke on Dagobah had a purpose. And, you know, Luke was just hanging out basically, you know what I mean? But he was surviving, he was living with these creatures and everything. But the dark side part, I was praying. I said, this gotta be Palpatine, and it wasn't, you know. So that was a disappointment. So Chris, did we get to you or no?
Oh, not yet. I'm just listening to you guys. But bottom line is they took Luke Skywalker. It basically became the strange old hermit, but instead of being in a desert, he was in self-seclusion like Yoda, but instead of being a swamp, it was a cold, rainy island. And in the storybooks where Yoda is basically found seclusion, there's a big pocket of dark side energy there.
Mm-hmm.
So he basically, because he hid in the swamp, it would have made it hard for Palpatine and Vader and the other, you know, folks that were following Order 66, even after the clones left, made it hard for them to find him. And that's, you know, that's why he went to Dagobah. And then here we got Luke doing the same thing. And then, you know, when Rey finds the dark side cave, so to speak. And again, it was another lightsaber over the shoulders. Nothing freaking happened. She was doing the do-wah-diddy snap finger thing, and then, and she's looking at the big ice wall, and she starts to touch it, and you think something dramatic is going to happen, and all of a sudden she sees a reflection. I'm thinking, okay, well, this cracker doesn't have any flavor, so I guess I'm going to move on to something else, you know. And then, you know, I understand why she was doing that. She was seeking guidance from this great Jedi master, Luke Skywalker, and then was left disappointed because he was basically casting her aside. Like, hey, I don't have time for you. Get away from me. So she's hearing that little whisper call, that little dark, what do we call that, a jetty hole, whatever, blowhole. Anyway, she falls in it. And then like, nothing happens. You know, there's like a monster skeleton in the bottom of the water. I'm like, ooh, maybe there's a creature in there. Nope, she just gets wet. And then she gets out and does the do-wah-diddy and touches the ice wall and all that crap. And I have to agree with Rodney. Yeah, you know, it's like, again, it's like a psychological thing for the watchers. It has nothing to do with the storyline. But then the whole thing with Kylo Ren saying that she's from nobody, I have to agree with Rodney. It's like, well, look, he's basically trying to say the same thing. Like, look, he's lying to her because, let's face it, Sith, you know, anybody that practices the dark side, lies and deceit are one of their tools of choice. To say she's nobody is using that verbal abusive type thing where, hey, I'm, you know, everyone else is mean to you, but I'll be your friend. I'll help you out, and trying to lure her in. And it was cool to see that, you know, she was smart enough to see through that ruse, even though it was tempting. You could see that contemplation going on. But yeah, the whole green milk monster thing. You got blue milk from Banthas. You got these sunbathing funky. You walk up milking the bottle and drinking it like it's like the best thing on tap, you know? I'm like, okay, that's disgusting.
No pasteurization, no nothing.
Yeah,
Straight out the tap, baby. Straight raw.
Yeah, it's like milking like a walrus. You're like, oh, that's really awesome.
I tell you what did happen. I went to see it in 4DX, and that scene where he's stabbing the fish, I got fucking drenched. I'm telling you, I was like,
oh, really?
Yeah, seriously.
Cool.
He stabbed the thing, and literally the water spurts in front of me just went. Like that.
I got to do that now. That's
How about when he was milking those?
Yeah.
The ice cream girl bought me some unpasteurized milk round, and she was like, yeah. No, I got drenched. I got absolutely drenched.
How'd you guys feel about his first meeting with Chewie and Artoo? Anybody, you know?
I'll go first. The bit where he's sat in the Falcon and R2 starts beeping, that was the first time we saw the old Luke. He went, R2? It was like that, and it was like we heard the old Luke come out for a second, like something pure had come back from his olden days, and we heard how he said R2 was the first time I heard the original Luke from New Hope. It was like he broke character for a minute and went back into the old Luke suddenly, like he forgot that he's supposed to say R2 in a weird like hermit voice, and he was like R2 like that, and I thought that. And Chewie burst in the door. I thought it was Rey. I thought she's using the Force, and this is how Rey's going to basically let him know that she's really powerful in the Force. And Chewie comes in, and he's like, "Where's Han?" And the look on his face, like, you knew that he didn't know. You know what I mean? It was like, oh. I mean, Gary, what do you think to that? Like,
well, to be honest with you, after seeing the scene prior to that, I thought it was refreshing to see. Because, like, you know, from me thinking, am I watching The Hobbit, to then seeing, right, okay, we've got Star Wars back now. You know, because he's now talking properly, and he's talking to R2, and then obviously you then get the projection from Leia. I thought, yes, you know, so it was mixed emotions for me. You know, it's like, wow, you know, and that was nice to see. You know, I don't know, it's really, really strange for me watching the film. It is strange.
Yeah. I mean, when Luke met R2 again, I mean, for the first time in a long time, and he said, you know, like what Richard said, like, oh, R2, like, you know, like I went back in time, you know, I was like, you know, when you know, back in the old trilogy, and I was just like, wow, this is. And he was like, you know, Luke was like walking around the Millennium Falcon. He sat where they, you know, in one of the chairs. You know, it was just like nostalgic.
Yeah.
And what actually, and I'm going to admit to you guys and everyone else watching this, is that I actually shed a tear when R2 like projected Princess Leia's like cry for help to Obi-Wan. I was like,
I was close, man.
I was like, oh man, all right, holding back tears, you know, and you know, when Luke met Chewie for the first time, you know, like that was also like pretty cool, and I guess like you know, he really didn't know anything about Han being dead at that point, and it was, you know, it was sad at that point, but it was a good. Overall, those scenes were really good, and I really liked it. So,
yeah, you're right. I felt something when when him and R2 hooked up, you know, because that's his number one buddy, you know. I actually, to be honest, with Chewie, I was a little disappointed because it wasn't enough emotion, and you know, that's another one of his good friends was Chewie, you know, and then where's Han, and that was it. Where's Han, and then just silence, you know. He went through no mourning period or nothing, you know.
Yeah. And
you know, because that's his best friend was Han Solo, you know. And that I was a little disappointed by that, I must say.
Yeah. That part really I loved the scene up until that part when it was, you know, where's Han? And then that was it. It made me pissed at Luke because I expected some real emotion, you know what? All right, I gotta go with y'all because, you know, I thought that connection when you find out Han Solo's dead, I thought that was gonna be the thing that gets him there. And it wasn't, so that part probably bothered me. Up until that point, I loved the scene, but then when it got there, that was a downer for me. So.
Wait, Chris.
Oh, I mean, to show Chewbacca's brute force, because I agree with you guys. I thought it was Rey coming in saying, "Look, I've had enough of this sleeping outside in the rain. Teach me how to be a Jedi." And it was Chewbacca, you know, probably just doing his normal knock, and it blew the door open. And the surprise on Luke Skywalker's face, it was almost like a wake-up call, like, oh, shoot, wow. But the lack of emotion, because he cut himself off from the Force, so he doesn't feel anything. And obviously it showed with his lack of empathy. But even when Chewbacca's like, like, I'm sad. I don't know what to say or do. And he was just kind of no consolement, nothing. These guys went through all kinds of battles together, and that was it. It's like, damn. I mean, Luke was really okay. I'm gonna cuss, guys. He was really pissing me off in this movie. Yeah. But again, kind of like Path of Least Resistance. Rey finds a way to get what she needs, knowledge-wise. Luke pulling his head out of his backside and say, "Okay, I'm gonna teach you some stuff." And we'll get into that here in a second. But yeah, I think this lack of emotion, the lightsaber over the shoulder, the falling into the dark pit, not fighting herself with yellow eyes. I mean, it's just a lot of anticipation and nothing, like eating your pizza, no flavor, crap. So yeah, it's kind of very bland.
Just out of character.
Yeah, I mean, it got better throughout the movie. There was pockets of like really awesome stuff happening, but yeah, there's a lot of flavorless stuff, and we expected more. Because we read the books, we've seen the movies, we understand what the character and the dynamics, what they're capable of, and even if they're hurt, wounded, dejected, what have you, there's still an air of humanity within everybody that goes through a bad point in their life. There's something keeping them alive.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was it. I mean, will I go see it again? Yeah, absolutely, at least 2 more times. So.
Yeah.
Because I saw it twice and I picked up different things the second time.
Yeah.
The conversations he had with Rey on the island, as he's talked towards the end of the movie, and I saw it the second time, like the stuff he said towards the end made more sense in the beginning. So I mean, to me, it's like you have to see it a couple times to kind of get everything to meld together. Yeah.
I mean, I'll agree with you on that, Chris. I mean, like there's a lot to take in. I mean, you go from one scene to the next, and then you think, right, okay, well, and then you look into the next scene, you think, right, okay, I'm trying to process that bit. I'm still remembering the bit before. So you do need to go and see the film at least a couple of times to then take it all in, because there is so much going on. So it's definitely worthwhile going to see it a couple of times at least.
But do you not think that's Rian Johnson as a whole? His films, Looper, if you watch Looper a couple of times, you pick up more stuff than you did the first time. That was a film that was like, there was a lot going on. There was a lot of time travel stuff going on, a lot of stuff that you didn't notice from when he started changing stuff to what happened and stuff. So I think that's Rian Johnson as a whole. I think he does. You have to see his film. Well, maybe that's the ploy. They want to get to see it 3 times and increase the ticket sales, so they brought Rian Johnson on board. So
that's a good point. That's a good point. Absolutely. I mean, he's a very bold director, and he likes to take risks, and I think good, bad, and different. I think he did a pretty damn good job. I discussed again. Look at that, guys. You're wearing me down. So
I mean, whether we like it or love it or hate it, we can all admit this took risks where The Force Awakens didn't. Maybe it took a few too many. Maybe some of them were misguided. But you know what? They had the balls to do it. At least that is a positive for future spin-offs or whatever. They have the balls to be able to take them risks. Maybe next time they'll pay off a bit more. But bravo for actually trying something. Do you know what I mean? As much as if we don't like it, at least they tried. I'd rather they try than just rehash the same crap over and over again. Whether it's good or bad, I'd rather they at least attempt it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I give Rian Johnson a lot of credit for taking those risks, because not too many directors would, and obviously, like J.J. Abrams didn't, and that's why a lot of people have said that it was similar to The Force Awakens. But yeah, I mean, he's a very good director. I love Looper. Actually, but the difference between Looper and this movie, I mean, I'm not comparing it in terms of direction, is that I actually liked Looper the first time, and got better, and as I watched it more, this one I didn't like it as much, but then I watched it again, I liked it a little better, but I won't watch it a third time. I just can't.
Sorry, how much do you guys think you would have liked it more if it wasn't a Star Wars film? So this is just a film you go into without knowing all the lore, knowing all the backstory. If you saw it as just a film, this was a new film, I think people would like it more. I think it's because of the the homage they didn't pay to the old films, and because of the respect they didn't pay, that people are seeing it in a bit worse light than maybe it is as a film. You know what I mean? We're knocking out points tonight about how bad it is because of the mythology, because of the characters, but as a film, it's not a badly done film, I don't think.
No. It's a really good film. As a film as a whole, not a Star Wars film, it's a good film.
Yeah.
You know. So,
but again, we had expectations coming in. Where like Looper, we didn't. Rogue One, we didn't really have a whole lot of expectation.
The Force Awakens, we didn't know what to expect. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So now that we got the new characters, we're like, well, now we kind of have an idea where this is going. So we came in with a lot of preconceived notions and perspectives, and some were met and some weren't. That's how I think that, and I think Paradox hit it right on the head. It's like if you didn't have an expectation, you went in, it's a good movie. I mean, bar none. But you know, I got 40 years of Star Wars in my blood, and you know, I already had these expectations kind of set high, and maybe that's my fault. So as a Jedi, I will take that under consideration.
Yeah, speaking of somebody who I would not call myself a hardcore Star Wars fan, you know, I read some of the books way back, but none of those matter, and I really never got into the cartoons. So it's just been the movies for me. You know, I kind of put this movie somewhere in the middle. I did have some expectations that I thought were let down, but on a whole, I think I'm somewhere in the middle with the movie. I thought it was a pretty good movie. There were a lot of things that were, I thought, fantastic with it. I like the idea that with the Force, you've seen it open up. Like, so many more things can be done with it than what you've seen in older movies. Because one of the problems I always had with Star Wars was you would always hear stories about these Force wielders that can come back to life or can stay young or do this and do that. But when it got to the movie, you're just moving stuff and you can control somebody's mind. So in this movie, you can see other things that are possible with it, and which makes it easier for them to do more movies in the future.
And Chris, you said, I thought that was made up, but you know that's a real thing. What book was that from?
What are you talking about as far as
Force Phantoms?
Oh, Force Phantoms. It was mentioned usually the books that took place after Return of the Jedi, and then the whole Legacy of the Force series, which is no longer canon. One of Luke Skywalker's former foes, she was able to use Force Phantoms not only to track Luke Skywalker down, but actually do sword fighting with him. And the thing was, like, it was like brutal. And you know, in the movie where it looked more like a hologram, I mean, Luke actually felt it and actually got injured, even though there was no wounds or bleeding. He was actually in a lot of pain. I think she had like a lightsaber whip, and anytime it hit him, he felt that, you know, even though she was a Force Phantom. And then she teaches Jason Solo, because the Solos had 3 kids in the future, and Jason Solo becomes Darth Kaitis, and he learns how to do the Force Phantoms, and he starts going after Luke Skywalker. There's a whole layer of stuff. These Force Phantoms are absolutely real. It's usually for a Jedi Master who, you know, is obviously very skilled. And there's so many other Force wielding beings in the universe that, like the Ancient monks and things like that, where they don't go through hyperspace. They basically, for lack of a better way to say it, they disappear and reappear. Their ships run on the Force. I mean, they go out and collect Force Nexus things that people can use, and so they go and collect those so no one can find them. So Luke and his son Ben Skywalker, named after Obi-Wan, they go out and they start learning all these new tricks and stuff. And so to see it in the movie was awesome. But you know, everyone that's watching this show, there's a whole lot more that they can do with the Force, and it would blow your mind. The so-called Superman scene that's in the movie, that's in a lot of comic books, and you know, basically either pulling a ship to them or they're pulling themselves to a ship. You know, they're able to put themselves into a stasis so that, you know, the vacuum of space doesn't blow them up. I mean, they're still freezing, but they are able to keep their cells together. So yeah, I mean, I could keep talking about this, guys, but what Disney does with the future films, showing just how diverse and expansive the Force abilities are, I mean, I hope they just hire people to read the books and go nuts. You know, that's what I'd like to see. So
Piggyback.
Yeah, I was just going to say, following on from that comment, Chris, you said about the Force. I mean, in relation to Rey's training in this film, I mean, like she had about 5 on screen time. That's been about 4 or 5 minutes of training in this film. And like you know, when you look back at Empire Strikes Back, like with Luke and Yoda, he had virtually half a film of him getting trained.
Yeah,
you know, and to me, it wasn't long enough. You know, it's like, oh yeah, you got 3 days training, that's your lot. I think to myself, well, come on, you know, put her through, you know, tests and make it a little bit more. You know, to me, it wasn't enough. It's like rush, you know, move on to the next scene. It was just like, come on, guys. You know,
yeah, I think her training's not done. I think she's got a lot more to do in episode 9. But yeah, you're right. I mean, you're talking about different mindsets too. So back in the 70s and 80s, you know, you wanted to show the training to show how rigorous and how long it takes, where hers was awakened. I mean, it's spontaneous. Now she's got this ability and she doesn't know how to control it. She doesn't know what the heck she's doing, but yet it's like it's kind of making her see and hear and dream about stuff. And I agree. I think they should have showed more. But I just have a feeling that that's just another, you know, stand by. There's more. And episode 9 will show more of that, especially the duel of the Titans, so to speak, with Rey and Kylo Ren. So yeah.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. But so you know, I saw the movie twice, and the second time I saw it, I was talking to a guy who was in the movie theater, and he brought up a point that I never thought about. You know, Rey was somebody who came along after the Jedi, so she knows all the stories of them. So in her head, she's, you know, when you have your heroes, you're kind of pretending as a kid, you're pretending you want to be like Batman or you want to be like this character or that character. So, you know, he kind of brought up the point where, you know, maybe as these people who came along after the Jedi, in their heads, they're pretending, you know, I want to be like this Jedi or be like this. So it's not as, what's the word? Is not as far-fetched an idea as it was early on to be a Jedi, if that makes sense. So you're kind of like thinking about the possibilities of being able to do it more. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yeah, like modeling your heroes basically, and then you know, like you have the Force. You know, you're actually doing it. You know, as opposed to pretending.
Yeah, so you're practicing it more early. So you're not, you know, it's not as, you don't have as big a leap to do it. I don't know if I'm making.
We've got a lot to get through anyway, so let's move on. Because
we gotta move on. So
fair enough.
So we hit 2 topics here: Rey and Kylo's communication sessions, and what happened in the visions with Luke, and also the attack on the frigate, and Akbar dying, and Super Leia. Let's go. Anybody?
Oh man.
I think Garry should take this one.
Let it go.
I'll pass. I'll come back to it. Someone else. I'm getting my thoughts together on this. Yeah, someone else take over for a minute, please.
That's all the pain on your face, man. I thought I'd throw you out.
Go ahead, Paradox.
Super Leia. I feel like that's gonna be a meme soon. Did anyone ever see the shooting star meme with Emperor Palpatine? Or like, I'll link it in the group chat.
Send it to us.
Oh my gosh, it's just, I mean, I get it. Like, she is Force sensitive, and she could use, you know, she has some idea of the Force, and that was the first time we actually seen her use the Force. But couldn't they just use it in a different like scene? Like, did they have to, I mean, I don't know, like blowing her, I mean, I don't know if that was, I mean, they could have chose like a different scene where she used it, not when she's like out in space in the deep, you know, regions of space, and she's like frozen, and all of a sudden she just like wakes up like a zombie, or like she twitches a little bit, and she like does like one of like Christopher Reeve's Superman into like the door. I mean, couldn't she have done that a little bit before when she got blown out? Like, instead of like waiting, being blown out, and then freezing to death and almost to death, and then reaching out. I don't know. It was just like that scene alone just kind of like irked me a little bit. I mean, watching it again, I thought it would be better, but it didn't. In terms of the Kylo and Rey bond, I feel there's more to it than, Snoke saying like, "Oh, I binded you guys, ha 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 ha." When did he do that? Like, I don't know. Was it like in the last episode? I don't know. I just feel, and here's my theory. I feel like there's more of a connection between Rey and Kylo than we think about. I have a feeling that they might be brother or sister or twins, right? They might be twins. Like, ever watch like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Dan DeVito and twins? Like Rey's like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Kylo is like Danny DeVito. Like, I felt like Rey got the better part of the Force and and Kylo didn't. Kylo was more of the Dan DeVito. Ah, damn it! I lucked out on that one. And that's why he's like angry. I mean, I would be angry too if we were supposed to be like sharing this Force, and on like my twin sister got all of it, and I got like the little bit of it. But I don't know. That's just theory. But yeah, there's more to it, that whole binding situation than we know it. It's not just, oh, Snoke did it, but I feel that there's some sort of other connection besides that. So
yeah, I think as soon as he was trying to read her mind in the Force Awakens, and she was able to resist and push back, I think it established basically a two-way communication. And could Snoke actually pick up on that and kind of strengthen it so they can communicate, even to the point where they can actually physically feel like the touch of each other's hand, even though they weren't in the same spot? I mean, that is all stuff the Force can do. I mean, the cool part where they showed the water, on his glove and stuff, I thought that was really cool, because the Force, everything living can do that. So I think they could have done a lot more with that. But I almost want to take a dare and say that she might not be related to anybody that we know. She might be this rogue Force person that maybe went to hiding during Order 66, and I mean, she might be the granddaughter of some clone general, some Jedi that was in the Outer Rim area, and now we find her. I mean, so we won't know until they even mention it in Episode 9, or they mention it in the audiobook that was supposed to, or the book that's supposed to be coming out in January. Now they apparently, according to Amazon, moved it to March, so they got to wait again, because the books will give you more detail. So that's what I'm waiting for, because I can get in the weeds on that stuff and basically drain the marrow right out of the wording, so I can actually form this mental picture and connect all the voids that the movie didn't show.
Gary, you ready to attack it, bro?
Yeah, I've composed myself now. I think I'm ready to challenge the Almighty on this.
Release your anger, Gary.
Yes. I'm trying to control myself. No, I think the communication between Rey and Kylo, I think where they're talking to each other, I really enjoyed that. I mean, to start off when they were like arguing with each other, oh, I'm going to kill you, this, that, and the other, and then later on in the film, it got calmed down a bit, and you think, do you know what? They might actually have a connection, like closeness, like. And to me, I thought it was quite nice. It was nice to see. In relation to Super Leia, when she got blown out into space, I thought, right, this is it. This is her hurrah. She's going. All right, okay. First of all, I said, no, don't die. And I think this is it. She's gone. All right, and then all of a sudden, she then goes into the Superman pose and flies back in the ship. I'm going to go, no. What are you doing? What are you doing? Please, no. All right, and I think, so am I watching a Star Wars film, or am I watching a DC film? Yeah. I'm sitting there in disbelief. I'm thinking, I've got mixed emotions. I think, right, she's now officially died in the film. Got rest of her soul, and and we can all say our piece and move on. But to then see her come flying back into the ship, I think to myself, how's this going to end? I'm sitting there thinking to myself, well, this was an ideal opportunity
Right.
for her to pass and for us to all grieve and to move forward. But now we can't do that because she's now survived, and I'm lost. I'm lost for words. I'm thinking, where do we go? Where do we go from here? You know, that was my take on it, and I thought, oh my god, you know.
I mean, I mean, have you noticed that scene, guys? Like, I felt like it seriously felt like a Superman, like the Christopher Reeve version, where the sunlight was like hitting her face, and then all of a sudden she wakes up and like, you know, does the Superman like fly. I don't know. I agree with Gary. That wasn't a good scene.
Yeah. So let me start with the Kylo and Rey.
Sorry, chaps.
I kind of agree with Paradox with that. I've often thought maybe they're brother and sister. Maybe it's kind of mirroring the Luke and Leia thing that was going on. So with them and as far as them seeing, or Snoke's allowing them to see each other's positions and where they are, I thought that was just another example of the power of the Force. I like that because I like I said, I still like them. I like the mystery behind the Force, that you really don't know what you can do with it. So that leaves it open for that. If we move on to the Leia thing, that was the one part of the movie I still really have a problem with. The first time I saw the movie, I literally laughed when she woke up. And the dude next to me did the same thing. Because I'm watching the movie and I'm thinking, all right, I know she passed away, so how are they going to kill her off? And I'm thinking it's going to be a scene where Kylo takes her out, and you're like, all right, he's really dark now. But then when it happened so early in the movie, I'm like, damn, they killed her that fast? And then her eyes open, like she got the crystals on her face and everything, and her eyes open, and she flies away. And we laughed. We laughed during that scene. So I still have a problem with that, because I'm like, all right, between that time and Return of the Jedi, because in Return of the Jedi, she doubted she had, you know, any skills like Luke. So between that time, what happened? Are they going to go back and do some kind of Leia movies where you show her growing? I mean, she passed, so of course they're probably going to get another actress if they do that, but they got to give me something like that to make this make sense to me. So I thought that was the biggest cheat in the movie, and I still have a problem with that part in the movie.
Yeah.
Well, as far as the Kylo and Rey communication, I enjoyed that as well, because it kind of mirrored, you know, that scene from Empire when Vader and Luke were talking, and they had some pretty serious conversations. You know what I mean? It was pretty heavy stuff. You felt the tension, but you know, as it went on, they grew closer. You know what I mean? The Leia thing. We saw two examples that she was Force sensitive in the old movies. One, The Empire Strikes Back, when Luke calls out to her when he's hanging on the bottom of Bespin, and she heard him and she told him, we got to go back. And what are you talking about? So, you know, and then two, when at the end of Jedi, when Han was like, I'm sure Luke is okay. She said, he is. He's like, hey, I can feel it. You know what I mean? So we know she has it, and you got to assume that Luke trained her in some kind of capacity at some point. Now, the way it happened, I didn't like the way it happened. The way she Superman stuff, that was some garbage. Now, if she could sustained herself and it came and got her, then I could have accepted that. You know, don't be blind, don't be Operation Captain Marvel up in here. You know what I mean? So the way it happened, but I think Gary's right. I also thought this is it. That's okay. You know, but then she woke up and I'm like, really?
Can we just pay us respect for 2 seconds to Admiral Akbar and put us head in respect?
Oh,
they killed off Akbar in 2 seconds and mentioned it once. Leia,
it's a trap.
We know Leia was powerful because she felt Han die from across the galaxy, so we knew she was powerful from The Force Awakens. I don't agree with again how they did it, like you said, but Admiral Akbar biting the dust, I was like, oh, that hurt more than anything, really. I didn't even realize he didn't realize they bit the dust until after when they said we've lost all the command Akbar. I mean, have you guys talked? Sorry, I'd step out. Have you guys talked about Holdo and what you thought about her? And I mean, I thought like the character in the books, Chris will say, is very more quirky. She's a bit like Luna Lovegood from Harry Potter. She's not as stern as Holdo was portrayed in the film. I don't like the purple hair. It just like Frenchie from Grease had a go on her. So yeah, but I thought Laura Dern did a good job with what she was given, with the script she was given. I felt like she did a good job. I liked the whole twists that were around her and stuff like that, and a big payoff at the end I quite liked. But yeah, have you guys talked about Holdo yet? Or?
No, I mean, I agree. I think the crazy color hair was a bit off for especially somebody in command. But I have to say, even though I'm not a Laura Dern fan, I think she looked good. I mean, to be honest with you, I like the fact that she was cunning and a strategist. But even in strategy, you're supposed to share that with the crew, so they know what they have to do to perform the next task in order to achieve a goal, complete a mission. And she wasn't saying anything. So the two people that were in the know, one was in a coma after the Superman flying, and then all of a sudden now she's taking in, and now you've got these brash, cocky, air jockeys, fighting for power. Then you got the mutiny, and it's just like, come on, guys. It's like this internal battle when you're doing that slow drag trying to get away to, for safety, which was painful. But anyway, but yeah, you got all this infighting going on. I just thought, come on, guys. I mean, even the Rebel Alliance back in 4, 5, and 6 were a lot more organized and a lot more team oriented. This seemed like everyone was disheveled. It's like Admiral dies, and which in the books he died a lot more honorably anyway. But here, now that it's no longer canon, he gets sucked out and vacuumed and dead. I'm like, what the heck, man? Seriously? He's quite the strategist, and you're going to kill him like that.
I mean, now that we're talking about the infighting and stuff, I do like the fact that the mutiny didn't work. I felt that was a risk that, because this is one of the moments where I was like, typical Star Wars, you know what I mean? He's going to do a mutiny, he's going to save the day and that, and he didn't. Leia stunned him, and basically the thing was she was going to do that all along, and I was like, do you know what? I didn't see that coming. Fair play, I didn't see that coming. That was one of the moments where I was like, typical Star Wars formula, here we go, and then it just went on its head and flipped the switch a bit. And I think if you had to categorize this film, it literally will do what you're not expecting. Like, even if you think it's good or bad, when you think that the story's going somewhere, it literally turns and does something else. I think that was the whole point of it. Poe was supposed to be this heroic leader and commander, got demoted to captain, by the way, by Leia after his dreadnought stunt. And I think people missed a lot of Poe's arc where at the end when he told Finn and that to retreat, and he's not a person who retreats, but he basically learned from the dreadnought thing and losing all them people that life is as valuable as a victory. And that was the whole point of his arc, I think. So,
I agree. I like that. I mean, you saw him grow as a leader in the movie. So,
as far as Holdo goes, I like the character. The purple hair did bother me. Her and all the people on the I forgot the name. The casino plan. It felt a little Hunger Games to me. What I mean? The way people were dressed. And that again didn't feel like Star Wars. I'm like, no. And even all the officers in the Rebel Alliance, they had credentials. You saw their, everything. She didn't have nothing. She's in a freaking night. She's going off to a cocktail party with what she had on. What I mean? So it was kind of hard to accept as far as how she looked. Her acting I had no problem with it, but how she looked,
we're getting on, so do you want to get us into the Canto Bight stuff, and then we'll all basically argue for we'll not argue, we'll all throw up for about 10 minutes, and then
the Canto Bight, the DJ and Finn and Rose thing. This was personally my least favorite part of the whole movie, but anybody want to go first?
Garry, what do you think?
I'll go first. I've got something to say about this.
He's like, let me go first.
We can all leave for half an hour.
Yeah. Sorry, Kaz, I've got to beef through this. Sorry. Was we watching The Fifth Element?
Bingo. Exactly.
Yeah.
Was we watching The Fifth Element?
Yeah. Yep.
Seriously, guys. Seriously, what was all that about? They might have just cut all that scene out. I mean, Del Toro. What was his purpose? I thought, what a waste. Yeah. He's such a talented actor, and I thought, for what he played in the film, I thought, no, it was terrible. They could have cut that whole scene out and not even had it on there. They could have just flown to the ship, folded it, and they just deactivated the thing themselves.
Yeah.
You know,
the whole thing served no purpose at all.
Yeah,
even in the end, no purpose.
Just a complete waste of time in my books.
It did serve a purpose. They didn't know what to do with Finn with this movie, so they basically gave him a story with this other new character that they had to get in, and that's what came up. Because basically, Finn couldn't have been in this story. Really, you think about it. If you take that whole thing out, then
I mean, don't get me wrong, Richard. I mean, the girl who was with Finn, I don't know her name, but I thought her acting skills, I thought she was good in the film. I thought she was okay. You know, and I quite enjoyed seeing her in the film. Also because she looked a bit like Mother Half as well, so that wasn't too bad. So, but anyway, no, I thought them two together. You know, I thought that they were great together. But I just think that scene at the casino place, I don't think it was called for in the film. I don't think personally. But anyway, I'll pass it over to you guys. What do you think?
Paradigm.
Oh man, I'm about to go like straight up dark side on this.
He's going rogue. He's going rogue Rick. He's going rogue Rick on us. Go on.
Here we go.
Paradox. We call him Java.
Oh my gosh. I'd rather have my nipples pierced than watch that scene again. That was. I'd rather get a Prince Albert everything. I don't know. I actually, when I watched it the second time,
that's pretty bad, Paradox. That's pretty.
Oh man. I'd rather watch like the pod racing scene like 5 times than watch that scene again. I don't know. I'm just kidding. But you know what? I just felt like that scene just didn't go with the film. I just felt like, you know, like what Richard said, like they had to create a story for Finn, which I don't think that was the right story. Like, you know, you want to build your characters. I didn't see him get built up. Like, you know, you had like, you know, Finn, like, oh, this guy, like, you know, he was like outgoing and stuff. But here he just felt like, okay, like, you know, like he was trying to escape. And I don't know. It just wasn't like a good character building moment for Finn. And Rose too. Rose, I thought like was kind of annoying. She just felt like, okay, they had to put an Asian woman in the film just to create a political, you know, PC environment. Like, oh, they got all the different, you know, nationalities and stuff. And I'm Asian too, so I could say that, like, she just had the wrong part in that movie. The whole casino scene, that didn't feel like, you know, like what Gary said, that didn't feel like Star Wars. That felt like a different, you know,
Hunger
movie.
Games,
like
what I felt was Hunger Games.
Yeah, Hunger Games, you know, Fifth Element. It was just like, it just didn't feel like Star Wars. It just felt, you know, like, I don't know. And Benicio del Toro, he's a good actor. I mean, if you saw him in Sicario, come on, man. Like, he's an amazing actor. And you gave him this, I don't know, this Snape, like, stutter. Like, he's like, you know, like, he's like doing like, oh, you know, like
Hannibal Lecter.
I don't know. It was, I don't know. There's so much anger in me right now about that whole scene. It's like I have to like pass it on to someone else.
It sounded
you know,
like
I'm about to like start cursing.
It sounded like it was a Jungle Book, the snake.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was just, why would you tell him? I mean, did he come up with that, or did Rian Johnson's like, hey, we need you to make?
I thought about that too. Who came up with that shit? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But my biggest disappointment with him was that he wasn't Ezra. I was praying he'd be Ezra from Rebels, you know, grown up. And you know, he on here. What the hell is this? I mean, and something else that bothered me about him. Okay, he waited for them to show up for him to break out of the cell. Like, really, man, you could have broke out anytime. But you know, that didn't make no sense to me either.
That's what bothered you. What bothered me is they went all the way to this planet for a guy that was gambling at a casino. They got arrested and went, he knows code, he'll do. He knows.
Right. Yeah.
He knows. No, honestly, he told me, right, he's once hacked a Microsoft server in 25 minutes. He'll do. I swear. Look at it. Yeah, I know he stinks, but he'll fucking do. That was it. Pretty much like that was it. It was like they went for one person. Justin Theroux's character at the table. He had his lapel on, blowing this darling and all that crap. And then basically they went with another guy because he said he could do something. I'm like, well, that's a good reference. I'm like, I hope I hire somebody who says I can do web design. I swear. Don't have to show you, but yeah. I mean, sorry, I won't say the whole CGI on the creatures as well. We've got to talk about that. I thought that was the weakest CGI. The whole scene running through Dubrovnik. I'm not calling it Canto Bight. It was Dubrovnik. I think I actually saw Jamie Lannister in one scene. And basically, yeah, it seems like everybody uses Dubrovnik now. They must have like the best tax rate or something for shooting movies. So yeah, the whole scene of him running through on these creatures, and then he just suddenly, without him having a tracker on him, by the way, turns up on the edge of a cliff and says, "Do you fancy a ride?" So I don't know how that one worked out, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that.
Go on.
I was to say that whole thing at a Canto Bight. Honestly, I think they tried to do a futuristic version of Indiana Jones. You got this guy with the 1930s, blow on this, darling, all debonair, surrounded by a bunch of drunk, freaky aliens and stuff. And you know, what I did like about the whole thing was, you know, where did the Empire and the Rebels get their ships? So instead of, you know, stealing old, outdated tech and trying to use their advantage, you know, they're going to these war profiteers. So war profiteering, you know, in the future in a galaxy far, far away is still a thing. So it kind of connected stuff that we've had here in our history, you know, in the future. The big horse things. I tried to look online what they're called, but I decided not to. But you know, those breaking through the walls and stuff was like the giant ball in you know, Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know, just crashing, destroying. You know, just gold and all the stuff flying everywhere. And I think the whole scene was to let us know that there was a little boy that works there in the stables who has force powers.
Yeah.
I think that whole section of the movie, to me, it felt like the setup for a TV show. It felt like the setup to, you know, a class warfare thing between the people, the weapons makers versus the locals in the area, and that's where you'll get your rebels from.
I think it's set up for Rian Johnson's new trilogy. I think it's going to be about the new Jedis and the Jedi Order coming back and the Resistance building up again and stuff. It'll be that new trilogy. I think that whole Stick Boy I call him Stick Boy, not Sick Boy. So the whole Stick Boy scene when he got a bit of wood at the end. Basically, yeah, I think that whole scene was to show that the Resistance has sparked again. The one thing I did like about that profiteering, sorry Gary, I know you've got to talk, mate, in a minute, but was the fact that they proved that the Resistance buy from the same scum as the Empire. I like that. I thought that was
too.
Yeah. I mean, Gary, what do you think? Have you got gabbed your thoughts enough yet? Have you took your pills?
Yeah. What? Well, give me some injections. Well, personally, I mean, I've got one thing to say about that whole scene, and the sentence I'm going to say to you is, "Welcome to the Disney Mafia, chaps. Welcome to the Disney Mafia." Yeah, that's what it is.
Dun dun dun. Pretty much.
The plot thickens.
Oh no. Well, we gotta move it along, y'all. How'd y'all feel about Rey and Luke on the island when she found out the truth and their little duel? And we talked about the mutiny and the Yoda moment, which was one of my favorite moments of the movie. Burn that shit down.
Yeah. Go Chris first, because he hasn't been Chris first ever.
Go ahead, Chris.
I'll go Crick. You know, having Yoda come back, you know, showed that Luke was reconnected with the Force again. So that told me right there that Luke, his old master coming back, because, you know, Yoda's not dead, all right? He merged with the Force. Obi-Wan did the same thing, you know, so they're not dead. They're always going to be around. The thing I found interesting was the books were kept in this giant stump. There was no trees on the damn island. They're one big stump, and that's where they held the books. So I thought, okay, well, this is weird. But honestly, the whole scene with Yoda, I think it kind of brought us back to our childhood again, where it's like, okay, you know, here we got this Jedi Master who's all disheveled and kind of, you know, locked away as a hermit, and Yoda coming back basically, you know, kind of poking his ribs, saying like, hey, you know, pull your head out of your backside, you know, and, you know, be humble and train your failures. Don't run from them. You know, that's how you learn and grow. So and there was a lot of truth in what he was saying, and he did it in his own little whimsical, backwards talking way. And I like that. It was really neat. Even as an adult, as a Jedi Master, he's still got a lot to learn. So there's always room for growth, and that's with everybody. You know, even if you're a subject matter expert in something new is going to come along. You got to keep growing. You know, and that's what I took from that. And I would definitely hope to see him again in episode 9.
What did you think about the whole Luke and Kylo and the sabers and when the flashback?
So the flashback, that thing, yeah. So he took a couple of the students and killed the rest. Well, where are they? Where are they?
Knights of Ren, baby.
Knights of Ren. Yeah, Knights of Ren. Yeah.
Yeah, and where are they? We heard them twice now in 2 movies. Hasn't shown even a glimmer.
Praetorian Guards, baby.
Show up. The guards.
The Praetorian Guards are too robotic. I think they were partly enhanced somehow because they were very square and jerky in their movements, even though they were still good fighters. They had some pretty awesome weaponry. I still, if there is a group of guys that are practicing dark magic somewhere, where the heck are they?
They're hiding. Well, that flashback they had in Force Awakens when he had the crew with him, that didn't look anything like those Praetorian Guards.
No, they looked like TIE fighter pilots.
And also, I forgot about this. Let's go to the flashback. He was wearing his Kylo Ren outfit. In the scene we saw, he was a boy. He wasn't even nowhere near Kylo Ren. He had nobody else with him. So that doesn't add up there. I've just thought about that. That doesn't really add up. He said that he knocked Luke out there and then took some people and killed the rest. Well, when he killed the rest, he was wearing his Kylo Ren outfit. So why does that work out? Yeah. I just think that doesn't work out one little bit.
I thought about that too in the movie. I was like, this doesn't look like the flashback, but
Yeah.
As far as Yoda goes, this man would tell you back in 1991. I said, man, I told him, I said, at some point, Yoda was a monster. He's like, he don't do nothing, man. Even just listening to Yoda, I've always loved listening to Yoda talk. I'm the biggest Vader fan is, but my favorite Jedi has always been Yoda. So when I saw Yoda, I was like, Yoda! My wife smacked me a little bit, but
you know that.
But I was so happy to see Yoda, man. But as far as their duel and everything, I think Luke needed that. He needed a little smack in the behind or the face or whatever, when him and Rey had that little tiff, in the rain, and when he broke it down to Kylo, I break it down to her what happened, even though he didn't really. Oh no, that's when he did tell her the real truth.
Did anyone notice he caught himself? He stopped himself with a fall. He's like, I ain't falling on my ass, bitch. I'm gonna catch myself. Yeah. Gary, what do you think, mate?
Well, when I saw the Yoda scene when he come back to see Luke, I thought I was like, yes, we've got the film back. We're back.
Yeah.
We've gone from the casino bit to the Yoda. I thought, yes, here we go. And when he hit Luke on the forehead with his stick, I thought that was brilliant. I thought, yeah, we've got Yoda back here, and I thought the scene where you got Luke with Kylo, I quite enjoyed that because, it's like, whoa, the power, you're seeing the power, forthcoming, and I thought to myself, oh, is Luke turning to the dark side here? I'm sitting there thinking, oh, is he becoming evil? I'm watching it thinking, it put doubts in my mind,
Yeah.
And I was sitting there thinking, oh, I'm getting really interested now, but obviously it swung back again. But like that, I enjoyed that scene. I thought it was good, but it was good to see. But I mean, like you say, they could have been a bit more detail with obviously the knights, and how obviously what happened to the rest of the people. But there's a lot of things that have been missed, and there's a lot of things that should have been done that haven't been done in this film. But I thought it was still a nice scene to see. Anyway, I'll pass it over to you guys. What do you think?
Go ahead, Paradox.
All right, so I really like that scene with the flashback scene with Luke and Kylo. Kind of because you wanted to know what happened between their relationship. But the thing is, what I disagree about that scene is that you have Luke, whose father is the dark side lord himself, and he fought his way to get him to to turn. Like he didn't fight him. He talked to him the whole time. He's like, still see good in you. He didn't do that with Kylo. I just felt like he assumed, like, okay, I gotta kill him. Like, I saw this vision in my head, and that he's gonna kill everything I love, but I gotta kill him. But it seemed like out of character for Luke to do that, and and I just didn't agree with that scene. And in terms of inconsistency with that whole scene itself, like in The Force Awakens, like you guys had mentioned, you know, Kylo killed everyone in the temple. He was wearing his outfit and he's got his Knights of Ren in the back. And we didn't get that. You have like this young Ben Solo, like in his like, you know, like little Padawan gear. And it didn't translate. I just felt like there was no communication between J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson and saying, hey, all right, you did that scene. And all right, I will try to like, you know, be consistent with that scene into my scene.
Watch the bloody movie. Just watch the movie. You ain't got to communicate, you know.
Yeah. But he, and from what I was reading, Rian Johnson, when he wrote the script, Force Awakens wasn't finished yet.
I see. Okay.
But he just read, whatever he wrote, he based it off the script of Force Awakens. He didn't see the movie yet.
Okay.
And so I don't know if that had something to do with it. Now with the whole like Rey and Luke scene where she smacked him over the head and they were like fighting, I was like, oh snap! And then she like kind of overpowered him, and you know when she grabbed the lightsaber, and I'm like, what? This is Jedi Master Luke. Like he would have force pushed her, and that was it. But I mean, I get it. Like you know, watching it a second time, I understood that he was disconnected from like the Force, maybe, and maybe he wasn't strong enough as he should be. So maybe that smack over the head was the reason for him to like kind of wake up and start, you know, getting back into the Force.
No, he not used the Force in years, and the reason he woke up is because he wanted to communicate with Leia, and he got in touch with Leia and saw that she was in the state she was. You got to think when he spoke to Leia, she was unconscious and she'd been pretty knocked into space, and I think he knew that his sister needed him. I think he knew then that, listen, I've got some family shit to deal with. I need to go sort this out. Like,
yeah,
we've all been there. We've all been there.
And the Yoda scene, I really loved because they were using, I don't know if like the CGI was not like the prequel CGI. It was like Empire Strikes Back, you know, Return of the Jedi, where they used like, it felt like they used a puppet, like, you know, like, and it felt real to me. So I like that whole scene. And I just felt like when, you know, Yoda destroyed the tree and it was like, ah, ha, 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 those were like, you know, like there were just like writings and they didn't mean anything. I just felt like that was like, okay, Disney's trying to like, you know, smack away like the old school and like, you know, like, and trying to like put their own take into the new movies that should be coming up.
I think Yoda knew they were in there. Rey stole them and she took them, and I think he, as a little inside joke to himself, he knew they weren't there. He knew that. That's why he loves the Jedi Order. I don't think he'd destroy the ancient teachings. It's not about that kind of thing. I think he knew that Rey had took them, they weren't there, and that it was being passed on to the next Jedi anyway. So he just thought, it's a tree, I'll destroy it. And on the tree, I was wondering if it was one of the trees, the Force trees that Luke took in the books. It was after
in the comic books. Yeah. I think so. The two Force sensitive trees that were in the Jedi Temple. And that were one was so that could be it. So there's a lot of power in the tree stump.
One was given to Poe's parents, wasn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
I like the Yoda scene. I looked at it like, which is ironic. You know, Yoda's the older master, and he's more of a go with the flow guy. But Luke is so rigid and stuck with, oh, we got to do it by what the books say. And he may have known the books were gone, but he downplayed the importance of the books when he was talking to Luke about it. And you know, Luke had the hesitation about burning up the tree, and Yoda was like, "Flame on." So I really liked that scene with Yoda, and it showed, you know what, Luke still had a lot to learn. Yoda was actually a master. Luke still had a long way to go. He told him as much too. And now the flashback scene, that kind of made me a little more sympathetic with Kylo, because you know, I understand Luke had, you know, a second of doubt, and he was just like, you know, and I could end this now and stop all the trouble, because maybe he saw something worse than what Vader did, you know, when he's looking at what he envisioned for Kylo. And so he had that moment of doubt where I just kill him and it's over. But Kylo's waking up. He doesn't know this is his future. And he's like, damn, my master wants to kill me. My parents sent me to this guy. So where do I go? So, Kylo kind of felt like I have nowhere safe to go. My emotion has been keeping me going. So
Snoke had been prepping him. Snoke had been basically chatting to him in his head and filling his head with negative stuff for a long time. You know what I mean? It wasn't just a simple, "Hey mate, come and join me." It was literally he'd been doing it for so long that that's why the dark side was in him. He was preying on that side of the Skywalker blood, and he made. I mean, Snoke could have been making Luke Skywalker think all this bad stuff. We don't even know that Kylo was actually doing it himself. He could have been putting those thoughts in his head while he was sleeping. And I think Snoke woke him up at that opportune time as well. I think Snoke. Yeah, I mean,
and it would work because you wake up and you see a teacher trying to kill you. That's going to change things.
And speaking of Snoke, let's get to when Rey leaves and gets caught, and the battle that ensued on the ship.
Garry just grabbed his eyes like, "Oh, I've got to get ready for this."
Larry, we let you marinate for a minute.
Y'all didn't like the fight.
Oh, you go ahead. Everybody else grabbing their face. You go ahead and talk.
Okay. I'm gonna say this again. I am the least hardcore Star Wars fan on this set right now, so my opinion is probably going to differ from everybody. I love that scene. Was my second favorite scene, only to the Holdo Lightspeed scene. So I love the fight scene with Kylo and Rey against Snoke. I thought Snoke. Are we going into the death and all that?
Yeah.
Okay, so
let your feelings flow out.
Let stretch out with your feelings.
Y'all may hate me, but all right. So after the first time I saw it, I was kind of pissed off about how Snoke died because I figured y'all built up this bad guy and he just died that way, like that quick. After watching this the second time, and he actually sees that Kylo is turning a lightsaber, so he notices that that's going on. And I don't know how the Force works. Can he see which lightsaber is going?
No.
So he just knows Kylo is turning a lightsaber, and I'm just assuming he's thinking it's the lightsaber that's in front of Rey.
Kylo turned his if you watched at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so when I saw that and watched that the second time, his death didn't bother me as much. But I'm gonna tell you straight up, when the bottom half of the body fell on the floor, I was expecting it to merge back together because I was thinking, there's no way this guy could be dead already. I was expecting so much more of Snoke in the future and on. So I was shocked by how quick he died, but after seeing it the second time, I wasn't mad about it. The whole fight scene with the guards in the red room, I loved it.
That was a good scene. That was.
I love that scene. That was like I said, that was my second favorite scene next to the Lightspeed scene. So,
you know what? I did like that scene. I was surprised that Snoke died, but in hindsight, I kind of like the fact that he did what Vader was never able to do. Vader was never able to kill the Emperor. So he took that next step, and that goes back to him destroying that mask, and that kind of separates him. He's not hiding himself. I'm not going to be Vader. I'm moving forward. Like, it's let the past go, kill it. So, I'm going to become the supreme leader. You know what I mean? And I was shocked when, I wasn't devastated that he was dead. I mean, and I kind of like the fact that Snoke wasn't, everybody who is Snoke and all, I'm glad he wasn't somebody, because we do need to create new stuff. But as far as the fight scene, I liked it. I think it could have been choreographed a little bit better, but I did like it. I did like it. But I was surprised that Snoke did that. Paradox, you think
I see this.
Take a deep breath, Paradox. Exhale and.
Okay. I mean, there was some positives and negatives out of that scene, and I'll start off with the positives because the negatives might make me, flow something crazy. But basically, the whole scene with Kylo turning the lightsaber and turning, Luke's lightsaber at the same time was pretty cool. And I was like, at that point, I was like, oh no way. And I was like, oh snap! Like they really killed him. And at the same time, like I realized is like what Thor said before is that this was his step to surpassing Vader. This is like, all right, at that point in time, like they were in Rey and Kylo were in the elevator. It's like you're gonna turn, and they were like talking about turning, and Kylo, like at that point, there was a little bit of hope that there was a little bit of light, but when he killed Snoke, that's it. He's the ultimate like villain now. He's gone. Like there's no turning back. There's no redemption for Kylo at that point. He's just total badass bad guy. And I'm gonna buy everything Kylo from here on out.
It did make me a Kylo believer, I must admit.
Yeah, because in Force Awakens, everyone thought like, oh, he's a wimp, he's a whiny, blah blah blah. He just that's all he taught. Yeah. But then when he did that to Snoke, it just proved all the haters wrong and was like, yo, he's the real deal. Now killing Snoke off at that point in time was like I felt like it was too soon because we don't know anything about Snoke. But again, this is Disney trying to capitalize on, hey, we're gonna show you the backstory of Snoke, but you got to read about it, or you got to, it's like more of a moneymaker for them, I think, unless they dive into his backstory in Episode 9. But I feel at that point there's so many questions to be answered. They're not gonna focus like a lot of story behind Snoke. They're just gonna like maybe dive into a little bit, but to read more about his upbringing and where he got to is probably through a book or something. But the whole like Rey and Kylo scene versus the Praetorian Guards, and like from reading from books or online, the Praetorian Guards were supposed to be badass. I mean, Kylo could hold his own, but Rey, no training. Rey, this is where like the inconsistency comes into play. Is like Rey could go toe to toe, like do all these like moves with a lightsaber against these Praetorian Guards. I mean, Kylo, I understand, but
to be fair,
those are my thoughts.
To be fair, she had been training with a staff on Jakku and beating up Junkers for God knows how many years. So she wasn't born in like a princess's house. You know what I mean? She lived in an attat in sand, and she had to deal with people probably trying to attack her every day, and people trying to steal her stuff and that. So she's not like she's a wimp. You know what I mean? She did have some. I mean, the whole she was holding her own, but she wasn't winning. She was getting her ass kicked most of the time, and Kylo had to look over and say, "Is she all right?" But a couple of times, she wasn't doing that well. You know what I mean? But she did have a lightsaber, and a lightsaber is a pretty good weapon to have. To be fair, the whole Snoke death. The only thing I don't like about it is they made out he was this presence that had been around in the universe before the Emperor and all this stuff. And if he's dead now, then what kind of presence was he? If he survived for that many years? And yet he's just dead from a lightsaber blast. That's why I partly hope he isn't. I think he's one of the Force wielders that we saw in Clone Wars. Maybe the father, because we know the son and the daughter's dead. So I think he's the father of the Force wielder in Clone Wars, which means he's not dead. Chris will back me up on this. Chris, if he is the Force wielding father, he's not dead, is he?
That's correct. They back in the Clone Wars, they talked about the Mortis monolith, and you had the dad that was balancing between dark and light. So the daughter represented the light side, the son represented the Sith. And lo and behold, daughter dies, father gets injured and dies, but the son escapes from, because the dad was trying to keep both of them trapped on this Mortis monolith. And then in the books of the Legacy of the Force, Luke Skywalker and his son actually go find the Mortis monolith. And because they're trying to beat this evil Force user named Abeloth, and he ends up finding the Mortis monolith, and sure enough, this dark, the dark sun, so to speak, shows up.
Oh, the sun,
and talks to him. So an average Force user could not kill the Force wielder. So what tells me is this guy, if he is part of the original Force wielders, he's not dead. His body might have died, but he'll manifest somewhere else. But that goofy look on Snoke's face, where his tongue's on the ground.
Yeah.
I just thought that was insulting. I mean, if you're such an evil, bad guy, I mean, how are you looking like a complete moron on the floor, like And I don't know. When you're doing a Darth Maul again, we're gonna take this really awesome dark side guy. We'll just cut him in half,
That's painful subject for him.
Yeah, crap. So Yeah, but yeah, the whole backstory about the Force wielders and stuff it's really impressive, and I hope Disney actually does more with that. Maybe even creating a bigger backstory for the three folks, because there was a mother figure, but we don't know what happened. And Abeloth in the future, she became like the adopted stepmom, so to speak, and she drank from the well that wasn't supposed to, you're not supposed to touch, and that's how she became this evil. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah,
get Gary's opinion. Let's get a drum roll.
You got it.
let us have it, guys.
Well,
in the bed.
Well, all I'm going to say is it was that scene to me was a Disney roller coaster. Right? Right? 1 minute, 1 minute I'm at a high because I'm finally seeing Snoke for what he is. You know, you're now seeing his power. You know, and how he controlled Rey and throwing her across the room, and obviously the electricity force coming out of him, and Kylo Ren like obviously bowing down to him, and he's then insulting Kylo, saying you know you're not a pinch on Darth Vader, and I thought this guy's badass. He is going to be the ultimate power, all right? You know, and to me, when that happened, my hairs on my back went up. So I thought, yes, right, you know, this is really, really good. And then all of a sudden, Kylo then chopped him in half. And I'm going, what? I'm like, no. We've seen him for about 3 minutes in the film doing something, and now he's gone again. I'm getting flashbacks of Darth Maul, Jango Fett, yeah, all the others. So I'm now thinking to myself, no, you can't do this again. You know what you gonna do, Disney? Are you now gonna do another film just to tell us the backstory of Snoke? Or are you now gonna do a film on Darth Maul so we know the backstory about Darth Maul? Or it's just crazy. You know, we had Emperor Palpatine, right, spanned across 6 films before we, to see how he developed from sort of good going to medieval to then full evil, right? And this guy, he's lasted not even a film and a half, and he's gone. And I just like,
is it wrong? I would love to have gone to cinema with Gary to see this. I want to watch it. I want to watch the film. I want to just watch Gary for the entire time.
Next Star Wars movie, we flying over to UK.
I want to just watch. They would have been watching film, and I'd have been doing this.
Yeah. We need the live CV cam on Gary.
But I was just like, I was on such a high, and then to then go on such a low to see him go like that, and then after that scene to then see both Kylo and Rey fight, obviously the guards, and like I thought that was brilliant. You know what I mean? I thought, right, they're teaming up, they're going to be a team together now, and it's all going to sort out, and then happy days. Do you know what I mean? And then to then see what they did with the saber when it snapped. You know, they're fighting over the saber. I thought that was brilliant. You know, and it snapped in half. But it's like such a high, then a low, and then you back up high again. You know, it was an awesome scene. But I'm disappointed that Snoke's gone. To be honest with you,
we don't know.
And did anyone notice from what I heard, people were talking about is the lightsaber? I mean, the kyber crystal turned a different color when they were trying to when they split in half, and then people were saying it might have been changed color to a white color or something. I'm not even sure. I have to watch it again to take a look at that.
Crystal itself doesn't have any color. It emits your stance in the Force translates onto the crystal, which creates the blade that turns into the color. But really, I mean, I don't know how Disney does it now, but back in the Legend days, the crystals didn't have any color. But whatever. Now they're saying your stance in the Force, you read the thing about Darth Vader, how they bleed the crystals and they turn red.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I have to look at it again to see. But anybody else? Because we gotta.
No.
Okay.
No, I think we got it. Yeah.
So let's move to the Finn and Rose captured Phasma versus Finn and BB-8 in the Walker, which I really didn't like, but.
I can feel Gary just nod again. Come on, boys.
And Holdo, your favorite part, Holdo, do you want to start?
Well, I mean, yeah, the Holdo scene, that was absolutely the Lightspeed scene. That was my favorite part. I love how they played her character. You know, seemed like a bit of a butthole in parts, but then she was secretly looking out for everybody else, but she didn't want the credit for everything that was going on. And I think Poe finally, in the end, got that because they were bashing heads through the whole movie. But in the end, when she made that sacrifice, and I saw Jason talk about it, and he said, "Why didn't she do that earlier?" I'm assuming she's dead now.
Yeah,
from doing that light speed blast through all the other ships. So and she wasn't expecting to do that. She was expecting all the little ships to be able to get away because they weren't able to recognize the little ships until damn DJ Benicio del Toro turned on them and gave it all away, and then and I was like, and I heard somebody say DJ is for don't join or something, and I'm like, you joined already because you got a lot of blood on your hands, you got a lot of people killed, which you did when you turned on. But so yeah, she didn't wait she waited because at first I'm sure she wasn't planning on sacrificing herself. It was just, what, I'm here, y'all get away, and then I'll.
Well, she was going to die anyway because as soon as the ship ran out of fuel, then they would have shot her anyway. So she was like, I need to disable them because these guys can't get away. She didn't know that DJ was going to tell her that these ships were basically getting away, sort of thing. And as far as him having blood on his hands, his motto wasn't it, they blow you up today, you blow them up tomorrow?
Yeah, you get them tomorrow.
Yeah.
And but see, that's a cop out to me. He made a choice and got them all killed. But then she came up with the second plan of, what? I'm going to shoot right into them. And the way they played the scene with the silence and the slow motion, I got goosebumps when I saw that scene. That was absolutely my favorite scene in the movie.
Can we give a quick handout to John Williams? I think this was an amazing score, as much as the score so much better than The Force Awakens. I listened to it again in its entirety yesterday. The entire score is beautiful, and the sound design as well. I don't know if Ben Burt worked on this, but the sound design and the music was perfect. I loved all of it.
Yep.
Yeah, I loved it. Oh yeah, I like that scene also. But like you said, the silence and just how they paused and you saw the ship rip through all the other ships and it's crystallized and fell apart. I was like, yeah, that was me. We've never seen anything like that in Star Wars, like a light speed ship fly through some other masses. You know what I mean? But as far as Finn and Phasma, that was one of my favorite parts of the movie. Again, I was surprised that Phasma died. I was more surprised about that than I was about Snoke.
Look at Garry.
But
I can see the veins on Gary's head right now.
Torturing Garry right now. Yeah.
I thought that fight was too short. Like I wanted that fight to continue. I actually enjoyed that more than I enjoyed the Rey and I did because that was personal. Okay. You know what I mean? You could tell that was personal. And the only reason I think he won because he fell on a lift. Yeah, he got lucky. He got lucky because she was whipping his ass.
Well, to be fair, I didn't like it because this last week I read the Phasma. Well, I listened to the Phasma audio tape, and she was the most feared, the most experienced warrior on her planet called Parnassus. And she basically was in charge of this tribe, and she was she helped Jet. I'm not giving you too many spoilers, but she had Jet Hooks' name is Armitage, by the way, if anyone didn't want to know. Brendan Gleeson's character Hooks, his first name's Armitage, and his father was called Brendel, and basically Brendel gets to Phasma's planet and Phasma helps him out, and there are all these little tribes, and she lived on rocks like a mountain and stuff, and basically they didn't have much and they were always fighting and everything, so she was this hardened warrior who I think this book really helped me understand her character when the armor splits on her eye, how much respect she paid to that armor, to the armor that she wore, and the stormtroopers and stuff. So I got that. But if you haven't read the book or listened to it, you don't get it. And to say how amazing in the book she is at taking out people. Finn wouldn't stand a chance. I'm sorry, whether he fell on the shaft or not, he wouldn't stand a chance. That's just a fact. So I thought she was very underused. So yeah, that's me.
No, you're right. Absolutely right. But who knows? Maybe she doesn't burn up. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, she was in a trash compactor on Starkiller Base, and she made that. So
yeah, but I found out in the visual dictionary she used she had these gauntlet things on her hands that she used to help get out basically of the trash compactor. They were like I don't know what was in them, but there was something in them she had used to do the locking system or something, and she got out that way. That was in the visual dictionary. So I mean, Paradox, what do you think, mate? Have you got any bold thoughts on this as usual?
Oh man.
Paradox and Garry are keeping this real.
I think we caused Garry emotional trauma.
First of all, I rather watch paint dry than watch that scene when they were chasing each other like through space. Like, I mean, come on, you have how many ships? Like Emperor Snoke's ship. I'm talking about like when they were in that chase.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, like you have Emperor Snoke's huge ship, and like you got like a couple of cruisers in the front, and they couldn't catch up to them. Like what is this? Like, oh, a cat and mouse game. I understand that, but still, you could have sent like a whole bunch of TIE fighters and finish them off.
Do you know what came? Do you know what came to me when that happened? Have you seen Family Guy? It's whatever it's called. It's a trap or somewhere. They're like, I know a few maneuvers. We'll lose them. He goes, that's your maneuver? Yeah, we're in a different place, aren't we? You just went left a bit.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, but the whole, I mean, like, I just wanted to get that out of there. But, the whole scene with, was it Hodor? What's her name? Holdo. And like, going through like that ship was that like I have to agree with Darth Castle there. Like it was such a awesome scene right there. Like, everything being quiet, everyone's like, like, that was a cool scene. The Rey and Rose scene, oh man, I'd rather punch cute pandas than watch that scene again. That was like a forced love scene. Like, like
Finn,
when did they fall in love with each other? Like, I'm sorry,
Finn and Rose.
What's her name?
Finn
and Rose.
Ray and Rose would have been a better film. I'm not gonna lie.
Interesting.
You know what I was thinking. But like the Finn, I mean the Finn and Rose whole love scene was just like forced. Like when did they fall in love? Like they didn't have time to like each other. I know she was obsessed with him about being a hero, but that's almost like some stalker stuff.
Yeah. Finn's changing his name to FN2187 again after this just to get away from it.
Finn still wants Rey.
The whole Phasma and Finn scene was cool. Like I was getting ready. I was like more pumped with that. I was like, all right, they killed Emperor Snoke. I mean, Supreme Leader Snoke. Okay, this is it. This is gonna make up for that. And then it was the same thing. And I'm just like, what is Rian Johnson doing? Like he's destroying everything that J.J. Abrams has created. Everything.
And now JJ's got to put it back together. He's the best.
Yeah, and now he's got to put it back together. He killed off Snoke, killed off Phasma. The whole lightsaber thing with Luke, like throwing off in the back. What's he doing? Like I want to touch upon what Richard said earlier. It's like he took a lot of risk, but too much. At this point, like he's just like, all right, kill him off. Let's be different. And I just didn't agree with that whole scene. And Phasma, like, what Richard said, is a badass. And like Finn stood toe to toe with this, with this warrior. I don't know. I just didn't like it, and at this point, I'm like canceling my pre-order from the Captain Phasma premium format.
Damn. Ouch, Gary.
I'm selling off my anything I own that has Force Awakens in it. I'm just
damn.
I'm keeping Kylo. Kylo is like my only like light in this whole Star Wars trilogy right now.
We know you got Phasma on pre-order. What's your status of your sideshow account?
Well, welcome to the Disney effect, my friends. Welcome to the Disney effect. Yeah, that's what it is. Disney syndrome. Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, well, oh God, where do I start with this? Right, okay. The chasing scene with the ships. Okay, to me, I thought I was watching something out of Spaceballs. And then like, thinking, come on, you know what I mean? You're chasing each other for like the last 10 years. Surely something's got to happen sooner or later. In relation to Supernova Hola, I think to me, first of all, when I first saw her, I thought to myself, she's pretty badass. She's not taking no crap. And I thought to myself, maybe she's turning dark, you know, because she's letting everyone escape. And she's staying on the ship. Maybe she's going to give the ship to the you know, to the Imperials, and then for her to then turn around and to then attack. I thought fair play to the woman. You know, that was a fantastic scene to see. And getting to Captain Phasma. Oh my God. To me, like what Richard said earlier on, right? Richard's gone into details about Captain Phasma, right? Okay. As a kid growing up watching Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, all these characters, they've been built up, right? So from each film, you get to know a little bit more about them, all right? Okay. So we've gone from Leader Snoke to Captain Phasma. We know nothing about whatsoever, and then they've been both completely blown out of the water and killed off. In my eyes, they're gone, all right? So we know nothing about them. So what is he going to do? They're going to do individual films for both them characters?
Books.
We've got to spend more money to go and watch. What Richard said there in relation to Phasma, all them details about how she became Phasma, that should have been in the film, right? For us to then be able to relate more to that character, right? And also Supreme Leader Snoke, right? How he come about, that should have been in the film. I.e., in the first Force Awakens film, it should be a bit about him. Then it should have been built up more in this film, and then maybe in the third film, in Episode 9, then maybe if they kill him off, then kill him off. Yeah. But at least let us know some more about the characters before you do that. Because to me, that's not Star Wars.
To put sorry, Guy, go on, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just saying, like, you know, and I was so disappointed. I mean, the fight scene was brilliant between Finn and Captain Phasma. Right, and then I thought, I'm jumping up and down, thinking, wicked, this is brilliant, all right? You know, obviously I've got the statues there, right? And like, I'm thinking to myself, and all of a sudden she's gone. I'm thinking, well, she's only been in this film 3 minutes. She was in the other film a minute and a half. She's only been in this film 3 minutes, and she's gone. And I'm thinking, I've gone from another high to another low. I'm like,
Gary was logging.
What are you doing to me, Disney? What are you doing?
Gary was logging into Sideshow's website at that point and
live in the movie.
To put Phasma's badassery in perspective, in the book, they get captured and sent to this place called Artoo, and it's the actual person who runs it's called the Artoo as well. It's got like a Colosseum place in the middle, and all the people get captured. They make you just to entertain this Artoo. He's like a bored kid, and you basically all these people have to fight their champion, who's the best fighter that there is, and everything. And Phasma not just kills him, she chops the head off the Artoo as well, and becomes leader of this entire place. And you're telling me that this person who can take on this champion can kill all these rogue people and you know what I mean, and lives in this harsh wasteland, gets killed by a stormtrooper with a what I mean, with a thing. I was like, no, sorry, but no.
Yeah. Hey, Gary, it's all been done wrong. It's all been done wrong.
Yeah, Gary, are you keeping that pre-order still?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, I've got the full scale helmet, so I've got to.
Oh, gotcha.
By the way, somebody said that before they get on that Yoda used perfect grammar the entire time that no one picked up on.
Gary's never coming back, guys.
Gary's going to merge with the Force. He's had enough.
Gary will be back on this show, I promise you. Go ahead,
I might come on the show with Gareth Edwards, I think.
Oh. Did anyone notice his cameo, by the way, Gareth Edwards? Did you see his cameo? Gareth Edwards, you know when the guy gets out of the trench and he goes, not out of the trench, but the guy gets out of the trench, and then the guy in the trench.
That was Gareth Edwards?
The guy who licks the salt, he goes, salt. The guy who looks at him and shakes his head was Gareth Edwards next to him.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was the guy who was pointing the gun next to the guy who licks the salt and looks at him like, what the hell are you on about, mate? So, yeah.
I bet he's thinking, what the hell am I doing in this film?
Oh gosh.
Go ahead, Chris.
Oh my gosh. So anyway, the hyperspace jump. I had some of my friends that went out and saw it, and they were texting me saying, "Hey, I thought when you're in subspace, you can't do any of this stuff." I'm like, "Look, without the correct calculations from the Navicomputer, you could bounce into a star or get sucked into a supernova, and you're chip really quick, And so I quoted Han Solo. And I got a bunch of, oh yeah, that makes sense. So because of the physics and the force of the jumping into hyperspace, it ripped through all those destroyers, and it was so freaking awesome. But to throw a wrench in the philosophy, when Han Solo was inside the giant freighter with the Rathars, he jumped to hyperspace right out of the cargo bay, and nothing happened to the ship.
And also they did it in Rogue One off the planet. K2SO says, "I've not made my calculations." He goes, "I'll make them for you," and pulls it, and in we go. So somebody just asked, what do we think about Episode 9 doing a time jump 10 years in the future or something, where basically Kylo and the First Order or something are ruling the galaxy, and Rey's gone into hiding to train or something. Do we feel like there might be a time jump? Is that something that we think might happen?
Honestly, I think there might be I think there might be a space gap in regards to, now that it's been progressed, good and bad have been built up, and now they're gonna do a lot of backflash type stuff to build the character basis things, is what I'm predicting right now, because they really kind of shook up the last two movies. They've got to do something to reclaim some credibility. And
also they've got to wait for that kid to grow up, because they've got about 2 Resistance members that can fight now. So
that's true.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on.
What's next?
The crate battle. We talked about Finn and Rose's kiss, unless y'all want to talk about it again.
All I want to say on that is this was another thing that I actually like, the fact that Finn didn't die in that thing, because I was like, this is predictable Star Wars. He's going to sacrifice himself to save the door and everything. And I quite like the fact he didn't die. I was like, because I was sat there just not even really watching, so I was like, right, he's going to die, and then he's going to save the door, and he'll be a hero. What the fuck? He's gone again. What the fuck? Why do you keep doing this to me? It's like one of the things where, like, literally, I thought I knew it was going to come, and then it went the other way, and I felt like this was a surprise. I didn't need the love bit, but I like the fact they didn't kill him off, because I thought he was dead for sure. I was like, yeah.
I'll respond to that, Richard. I mean, I was shocked, right? Because I thought, well, they killed this off, they killed that off, they killed that off. They're going to kill him off now. And then when it did happen, I thought,
why not?
Wow. I was gobsmacked.
They didn't kill off the only character that Gary don't have a statue pre-ordered for.
Yeah. Not yet, anyway.
And also Luke arriving, speaking with Leia and his conflict with Kylo.
Gary don't look too bad about this. Should we go to Gary first? He looks all right.
He looks positive.
He does. Yeah. He does.
Let the anger flow through you, Gary.
Rodney gonna go. Go ahead.
All right. Well, so I like the idea that they opened up the Force stuff. I really hated that he died in the end. I thought that was a bit of a cheat with it, but overall, I liked it. I liked the scene. My question is, did Leia know? Because they actually touched during the scene. So did she know that this was him projecting his image? And if she knew, why did she wait for Poe to tell everybody, all right, let's use this as a chance to escape? Why didn't she, or was this her idea of giving Poe a chance to be a leader?
I think she knew. I don't think she sacrificed her brother. I think she would have helped him out. I think she knew that he was a Force Phantom, because she was pretty. We pretty much established she was really well with the Force. So I think she knew she wouldn't sacrifice her own brother and not help him at all if she didn't know.
So then, was she giving Poe a chance to be a leader? Was she giving Poe because it? Okay. All right, because that was my only problem with it. Aside from Luke dying at the end, that was my only problem with it. And I was like, all right, she touched him, so she probably knew what was going on.
I knew something was wrong when he pulled out when I saw that he had the blue lightsaber on his belt. And I was like, wait a minute, that's Rey. That's the one they just snapped in half. Correct. So I knew something wasn't right about that. You know what I mean? For some reason, I don't know why. I mean, I knew he wasn't dead. You know, when Kylo was like, fire everything on that man, and he's standing there like, more, shoot him more. I don't know why I liked it, but I just liked it. But the only thing I was kind of disappointed, I was expecting him to go out there because in some of the legend, there's a book called Dark Empire where he turns to the dark side and he pulled down a walker with the Force and everything. I just knew he was going to go out there and just sort of like grip two of them and slay. You know what I mean? I thought he was just going to go off, you know, with the Force and everything. And so that was the only part I found a little bit disappointing. But overall, I like the scene and you know, really, we didn't get a real proper duel at the end of this one. You know what I mean? If you look at it, you know, I guess
you know, I did love the visual though of the red salt. As, you know,
when he blew up,
yeah, and they play with you a little bit because the first shot happens and you see red, and it's like, did they really kill him? And then it keeps going. So they play with that a little bit.
Can you imagine Garry's face if they just shot him and killed him?
He's like, everybody's tired.
Go ahead, Paradigm.
All right. Well, the whole crate battle was pretty cool, I have to say. You know, we had the walkers there. The whole scene itself, kind of like. Spoke a lot of you know, it's being similar to Empire Strikes Back with the Battle of Hoth. So I was like, all right, this is cool. You know, the rebels were, you know, outnumbered at that point by a lot. You know, there's only a few of them left. And, you know, like they all come out and they start fighting. And then, you know, with the whole, I'm going to go back into it and I'm probably going to get angry. The whole Finn and Rose scene where Finn was about to sacrifice himself. I'm like, all right, this is it. This is you know, this is a cool scene. And Rose knocked him out. And I'm like, what? If I was Finn, I would have been like, first of all, you took away my moment. That was my moment. You know, I'm saying, you know, you took my Armageddon moment away from me. And on top of that, you sacrifice you just put the rest of our alliance in jeopardy, their lives in jeopardy, because if they destroyed that, it would have been days for them to try to break through that shield. But now you just you saved my life, but you risked everyone else's lives. Now moving on from that, talking about the Luke and Kylo scene, I thought that was great. You know, Kylo, if you see his face, he was deteriorating. He was bad. He's all right, this is it. This is full Sith mode. He's gone. There's no turning back for Kylo. He's just angry, just how I am about, you know, Finn and Rose. Basically, you know, when you know, Luke came out, spoke to Leia, I didn't realize about the whole scene about when they touched. You know, I didn't realize maybe if she knew or not that she was a Force phantom. But then I looked at Luke closely and I was like, wait a minute. Did he cut his hair and dye his beard?
It was younger.
And then came. He was younger and he was like, wait, I was this little off. The whole lightsaber thing, when he took out his own his lightsaber, I was like, wait a minute, that's a little off. So, you know, when Kylo was fire upon him, and, you know, I thought okay, good. This is where we could see Luke showcasing his Force power. I felt like he was blocking everything, because when you look at it from afar, and I saw it when I saw it the second time, you saw the lightsabers, the lasers bouncing off something, and I thought he created a Force shield around him, but it wasn't the case. And you know, the whole you know, Luke fighting Kylo, and he was like, no, you can't catch me, kind of thing. And then next, you know, when he does catch him, it was you know, he was like, oh, if you strike me now, you know, I'll be more powerful. Then I was like, oh man, here we go. This is you know, A New Hope all over again with Ben Kenobi. But then when he struck him and he was a Force phantom, I was like, wow, that's a pretty cool twist. then next you know, like the whole scene happened, and then next you know, you saw that it was just a decoy to let the resistance escape, and then they flashed into. I mean, the next scene was when Luke was like in his like little like rock, and he was like meditating, and he looked like he was like having like taking like a big dump, or he was having an aneurysm. I don't know what it was. What? Like he died. And I'm like, wait a minute, why did you kill him off like that? Like I would rather have him do the full, like, you know, strike me down and I'll be stronger and then die from that. Yeah. But he died. I mean, it was a great scene. Don't get me wrong. I give Rian Johnson a lot of credit when he was looking at the two sons, but his face didn't like, he was like I'm like, what? Like, no, don't go off like that. You know, I don't know. It was just like that scene didn't bother me, and I just felt like I know he's gonna come back as a Force ghost, but I just didn't picture Luke going out like that, and I wanted more out of him. I want him to use the Force. We didn't get that in any of the movies. Exactly. Like, yeah, you know, he was a Jedi Master or Jedi Knight actually in Return of the Jedi, but he was just jumping around. He wasn't really using the Force. Like, you know, now he's like a Jedi Master. You would think that he'll be doing all sort of crazy things. He's got the books. He read them out, you know, all of them. You know, Rey hitting him in the head will just wake him up and just, I mean, don't get me wrong. The Force Phantom was a cool Force move, but I just wish that there was more out of it.
Do you know why I think we were all disappointed? Because if anyone paid attention to any sort of theories or people saying they'd seen this on set, there was a lot of reports of Luke using the Force on Act 2 against the Knights of Ren and Kylo, and Rey was with him in a big battle, and Rey was on a cliff and she got knocked off the cliff, and there was talks of Daisy Ridley having a motion capture thing on her arm and stuff. There was so much stuff about this big battle with these Knights of Ren, and so much stuff about Luke using the Force and shit, that this was going to show how Luke Skywalker, how powerful he actually was, and then we didn't get that. I would love to know what the deleted scenes are and what the stuff was that was shot but wasn't used. And I'd love to know who made that decision, because I mean, I didn't mind the Force fan. I noticed that the lightsaber and the fact he looked 10 years younger, and I'm like, well, maybe one of those monsters has Just for Men that comes out of his tits. I don't know, but maybe it's fine. You know what I mean? He dyes his hair. That's fine. As far as the Crait battle itself, I like the fact that they were using battered up speeders. I like the battered up speeders. I love the visual of the red coming up. I thought that was really good. After Kylo Ren did the thing to Hux, where he's like, Supreme Leader, get over there, Armitage. Sit down, Armitage, get over there. He did that to him, and he still looks like a petulant child to me. I mean, he came on a lot in this film, but I'm hoping in 10 years' time, if they do flash forward, he's literally like Vader, or like he's literally like the not as good as the Emperor, but he you know what I mean, he's been ruling over the galaxy for 10 years, and the First Order has spread, and now there's this pocket. I think it's going to basically mirror A New Hope a bit, where you've got this First Order spread and it's took over the galaxy, and there's pockets of resistance that are growing and building, and I think that's probably where you're going to get to the next one, and that'll build into the next trilogy probably. I think you'll probably get to the end of this and Rey will be either starting to train new Jedi or something, and that's when the new Jedi will be the new trilogy. I don't know. I mean, Gary, do you want to jump in on this, mate, before you pass out?
I'll go last. If you pass it on to someone, I'll go last.
I see the anger building up.
See the conflict in me.
Much conflict.
Come on.
I can go. I can go, guys. Bottom line is, Luke is not dead. Okay, so he didn't have a heart attack and died. He went to the island to die because he in his mind he failed. You know, he cut himself off from the Force and all that other stuff. But what he did was once he used, and it takes a lot of energy, you know, obviously to do that Force Phantom from far away and all that other crazy stuff. When he, you know, obviously wiped him out. He looks at the sun. He looks at the setting sun, and he found peace. And right then he decided he was going to merge with the Force. So very similar to, you know, Yoda dying, he was at peace with it. You know, Obi-Wan Kenobi realized that the only way that those guys can escape from the Death Star was to merge with the Force, to be a distraction so the guys can leave. So I think Luke is going to be a lot more powerful in the next movie as a Force ghost, because we just watched now that Yoda is now a Force spirit, and he brought lightning down from the sky and burned the old, you know, tree stump. So I could see him using his influence on the future Jedi training and things of that nature. So you won't have this feeble, disheartened, distracted hermit. You're going to have this, hopefully this benevolent force spirit that's helping Rey out and all that other stuff.
Do you know who we are getting in the next film? We're getting Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan Force Ghost. I guarantee it, because it's just before the Obi-Wan film comes out, I think. So you can guarantee Obi-Wan will be in that film as a Force Ghost, probably.
Get the trio up there. That'd be great. That'd be awesome.
I wonder if Anakin would be a Force Ghost, well, as Darth Vader to Kylo Ren.
I don't know. Yeah.
Can't manifest as Force Ghost. At least when I read, it can't,
But he redeemed himself at the end, and he was a Sith Force Ghost, so maybe he'll come back as, not a Sith, a Jedi, so maybe he'll come back as a Jedi, we don't know.
Gary, are you ready for us, Gary?
Yeah, I'm ready to explain my reasoning now. Okay, first off, in relation to Finn, when he got taken out and he survived, I thought, yes, another one's not died. Thank God for that. And I didn't think to myself, he must get up and think to myself, no, hang on a minute, I wanted to go with Phasma. Why have you saved me? But I thought it was good that he survived. In relation to Kylo Ren, when he was inside the walker, and he just threw Hux like as if he's just a puppet on a string, I thought that was brilliant. And it was showing even more of his powers. And then when he said about obviously attacking Luke when he was down, I should have clocked onto that straight away, because when he was on the island and you see the downed X-wing in the water, I should have realised that there was not a cat in hell's chance that he could get there. But because I was obviously in a high because of what was going on, I didn't click to what was going on. And when he said, right, lay everything down on Luke, and obviously all the lava and all the red stuff was going off, and then Luke just reappears and just goes like that. I thought, really? I thought, no, what's going on here? And then it went to the battle scene where they're fighting each other. I thought, oh, this is really, really good. And then obviously Kylo's then put his blade for him, and he ain't died. And I thought, yes, he's still alive. He's not gone. He's still with us. And then to see him on the Buddha pedestal, and he's like then floating in between the two suns, and he's gone. I think to myself, wow, another one's gone.
Doom. Another one bites the dust.
Yeah. And I thought I was just gutted. I was absolutely gutted, because I mean throughout the whole of the film, I thought his performance acting wise, I thought he'd done really well.
Yeah, best one.
To be honest with you, I think he will probably get nominated for an Oscar. I think, but that's my own personal opinion. I think he will. But I was just so disappointed that he's gone. Because to me, I'm thinking to myself, well, hang on a minute, we've lost all these characters now. What was the point of then having them in the film in the first place? I might as well just done the 6 original films, left it as that, and then these new characters should have done a new set of films just with them. Mm-hmm. And it should have just left it as it was and just done these set of films with the new characters. Because to me now, it's just a complete mishmash. I mean, I don't mean to be rude or nasty, but to me, I think what Disney have done, I think George Lucas must be standing there thinking, he's shaking his head, thinking, what have I done? What have I done? Me personally, I don't know how they're going to sort out episode 9 with Leia. I don't know how they're going to sort that out, because that's a mess. And to me, the only person I think who can now save episode 10, 11, and 12 will be Gareth Edwards. That's my own personal opinion, because from when he directed Rogue One, there was a story. There was no silliness. There was a story. It went through bit by bit. Bit like, obviously, Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, right? There was no mishmash. To me, I think that's what needs to be done. I mean, obviously, we've got other films to look forward to. I mean, we've got other spin-off films, Kenobi film. Hopefully that's going to be good. I just think it's, at the moment, I'm just so upset, and that all these characters are gone when we've had no build up. They're going to have to do separate films for these characters. I personally think, for Phasma and Snoke and all these other, because we don't know nothing about them. It's like Boba Fett. They're saying about doing their own film for him. And that, these things need to be done, because I don't think it's fair to us throughout the whole world as fans of the movies for it to be finish like that, if you know what I mean.
I think we're going to get a lot more Luke in next one, more than we probably were going to get before Carrie Fisher died. I think what that way now. I think they are going to time jump, and I think they're going to say that Carrie Fisher died in that time jump. They're going to basically just write her out. What I've heard is there was talks of them going back and reshooting, but because it was her last performance and because she put in such a good performance acting wise for Carrie Fisher and that, they didn't want to tamper with that. The family didn't want to tamper with that. They wanted it to be exactly how it was shot. So they basically decided to leave it, and that's how it was supposed to go. When I knew that Luke wasn't there, when they were moving around on the salts, Kylo's feet were making red marks and Luke wasn't.
Correct.
And I noticed that. I was like, is he like light footed? What's he got on his feet? You know, he's like, so yeah. But I think we're going to see a lot of Mark Hamill in the next one. I think there's going to be a lot of force training and stuff, unless they jump forward quite a bit, which would be ridiculously stupid. But if they jump forward 10 years, that kid with a stick at the end he's probably 17, 18. So
Yeah.
that would work. 10 years, I think, is going to be the jump if there is going to be. So
I mean that fight scene at the end where you've got the walkers and you've got the guys in the trenches. I mean, obviously that reminded me of Empire Strikes Back, and and that was nice to see, because it brought back happy memories, But it still didn't deter, obviously, the other bits and pieces that were wrong within the film, and that's why I've got mixed emotions about the film. But I don't know how you guys all feel about yourselves,
Thor, what do you think about Rey moving the rocks?
I knew that was the only way they were going to get out, with her moving that, you could see that coming. Again, she's had no training, but she had a little bit of training from Luke, and that's why, I was hoping that, it'd be the Emperor or whatever that she was related to, but she's obviously powerful, and it shows it, by her moving these rocks and everything. So going forward, as far as her getting the texts and her talking to Leia. I mean, it's kind of vague. Like Garry said, it's kind of vague going forward. Like, where do we go from here? You know what I mean?
But is that not a good thing now? If people are not liking the film, they can basically now take it to wherever they want again. J.J. Abrams can go back and say, there's not much really we've got to carry on with this story apart from Kylo's in charge at First Order and Rey's a Jedi. That's it.
But I mean, in that aspect is good, but the part that's bad about it is like Garry said, they've killed off so many people. They have to build up, develop other characters. This is the last episode coming up. All that stuff is supposed to be done. Like, the thing that made Star Wars so special was you had so many, like I said the other night, outside of Batman, I think Star Wars, as far as villain-wise, is second only to Batman. You had Jabba, you had Vader, you had Boba, you had the Emperor. You had so many iconic characters in it. With this, it's just, I don't think it even compares, as far as character-wise, to the, and that, like I said, now we're going into episode 9, and it's just kind of vague in my opinion.
I think we're maybe being punished as well for how movies are made now compared to how they used to be made. I feel like there has been a drop in filmmaking and a drop in storytelling because we are getting more CGI. We are getting more easier ways to do things. The days of creating miniature models and high speed cameras running over the top and and doing all that, that's gone. Even the days of editing. I watched the special making of thing for episode 1 even, and they were still doing real editing where they've got one half of the thing, they have to sync it up, and that it wasn't as easy as now with Pro Tools like it is music. I think the music industry's gone downhill a bit because it's so easy to actually make music now. Anyone can do it, and that is kind of probably hampering the film industry as well. You do get your certain films still, like Spotlight and stuff like that, where they're all story driven, there's not much CGI in that, but your big blockbusters, we've seen that with Justice League. I would take the original Superman with Christopher Reeve over Justice League any day of the week, and I like Justice League. But I feel like Christopher Reeve, you knew the toil he went through to get in that harness. You knew that the struggle it was to make people believe that, and that extra effort, I feel like we see that on screen. Whether it's there or not, we see the extra effort that it's gone to make us believe that entire effort to make us believe is what we believe. You know what I mean? And now it's like, you can chuck something on screen, we're meant to believe it because it's there. It's not. It's some tracking dots. You know what I mean? It's not real.
See, I agree with what you're saying there, Richard. But I mean, obviously, in relation to the Justice League, you got the films that are proceeding before that, whereby you got the characters that have been built up. So you got the Superman, you got the Batman, you got Wonder Woman films, right? So by the time we've got to see the Justice League films, right, them characters have already been built up. So we know we've got a background story on them characters, right, who are playing them parts.
Yeah.
Now the problem we've got with these Star Wars films, these last two. We've got nothing on Phasma. We've got nothing on Snoke. All right, and this is what I'm saying. All to build a story up, you need to build up them characters, and they haven't done that. And we can't. We then can't really relate to them characters, and that's why I think they've gone wrong.
Yeah. Maybe I like Justice League. I think it was a good film, and I think Man of Steel's even better for me. So I agree there was more build up, but with Star Wars, can you ever give it that much build up? Did we have much build up to Luke and Leia and Han? But because the characters were so well thought out in the first place, we got to know them through the films. I feel like we've had a lot of throwaway characters in this, and to be honest, too throwaway to actually be bringing statues and figures out about them probably. So.
That's going to be interesting because I think they're going to have to spend a lot of time with books and comic books to fill in the voids for the characters that didn't get a whole lot of screen time. So yeah, and if they decide to do a live action TV show, add it to the new cartoon series that they're talking about, then the standalone or maybe parallel trilogy, or are they just going to follow the Skywalker bloodline? But instead of it being a Jedi, you've got the dark side. So you've got the Kylo Ren. I feel like these movies, it's kind of like instead of A New Hope, it's okay, everything was going great. Now everything's going sideways and upside down. And now we're watching the evil grow back again. So I don't know. And maybe they'll do 3 more movies, 10, 11, 12. And, Rey, pushes back and gets rid of the First Order. I mean, who knows? But, just like war, like the guy said, he was just like, I blow you up the next day, So yeah, hold on a second. All right.
Should we have closing remarks then, guys? Because we've been running quite.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, overall, I liked the movie. I kind of put it somewhere in the middle. I love the idea that they opened up the Force again. There's so much more they can do with it now because it's not just moving objects and controlling people's minds. So I like that. I think the theme of the movie was real consistent. They were really trying hard to get away from the old stuff. And like it or not, that's what they did. I don't think you'll see Kylo Ren in a mask again ever. So if you're looking to get the Kylo Ren with the mask statue, get it, because the next ones he's gonna be unmasked with the scar on his face. They're going a new route, and for better or worse, that's where we're at. I thought the movie had a lot of really good action in it, a lot of memorable scenes for me. I'm still stuck on the whole Leia thing. That's the one thing that I can't get past. But overall, I kind of put it in the middle of the pack as far as the 9 movies. Mm-hmm. As far as the 9 movies, this one is like number 5 for me. So that's where I got it.
I agree. I liked it, and I got it ranked around the right where you have it ranked. The two biggest disappointments I had with it was we didn't have a "I am your father" type of moment. There's something mind blowing type of situation. That Empire gave you, and 2, we didn't get to see Luke really use his power that we've heard. Grandmaster Luke, is powerful. He's supposed to be. We didn't really get to see that, but overall, I liked it. It's about middle of the pack for me, also. And it just really leaves me torn as what we're gonna see in the next film. And that's it. Chris, what you think, man?
I think the sole purpose of the Force Awakens, the Last Jedi, and then whatever it is, the Attack of the First Order, whatever name they come up with. I think it was solely to bring the old cast in to give credibility to the new characters. and then they're going to branch off from there. Is basically what I'm seeing, and I agree. I was expecting to see Luke Skywalker a lot more action, and we didn't get that. We were denied that. So I'm hoping that folks out there, whoever watches our show, gets the hint that I know you're all in it for the money, but if you're making bad films, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot in the long run. Instead of people like me seeing it, 8 times in the movie theater, like I did for, I won't tell you what it was. I was single and I had a lot of spare time. So anyway, now it's like, you want people to come back and see it again and promote it to others, then you need to start really listening to your fan base.
Yes.
That's just called front-end analysis. It's all about, if you want to make money, then you have to produce something people like. It's like saying you go into a restaurant. I went filet mignon and lobster tails. Like here's 3 shrimp. Get out. You're not going back to that place, right? So don't disappoint your fans. I understand it's a business. I get it. I think Mark Hamill is incorrect. He said if you're trying to reconnect with your past, then you're going to be sadly disappointed. No, they did a lot of parallels with the movies in the past. All right, so you're seeing parallels of a current situation with shadows of stuff in the past. And we saw that. Yeah, we saw some cheesy stuff too. We saw some great characters killed off like they were just a bunch of punks or like throwaway, But at the end of the day, war doesn't pick who dies, It just happens, and that's the ugliness of war. So, will I see this movie again? Absolutely. But I want to see it in 3D, or if they have 4D, I'm gonna bring some milk with me so I can at least, Well, outside of that,
don't forget your spear, Chris.
Just bring a raincoat. You're gonna bloody need it.
Exactly. Outside of that, I liked it. I liked all the twists and turns. And Gary pointed out the roller coaster. And originally I thought, you waited 2 years and you only get like a 10-second ride. But that you met the highs, the peaks and valleys of the movie, and it was a lot of that. So I really hope that they redeem themselves in episode 9, and if they decide to continue on with the bloodline, that they are a little bit smarter about it. Because there is money right there. You say Star Wars, and all of us here and everyone watching the show, everyone that's commenting, we're gonna go see it, guys. So just make it good. That's all we ask, please. And outside of that, I am done.
Fair enough.
Okay.
God.
I mean, I respect everyone that their opinions about like them liking this movie, and I mean, there is a lot of positives, but for me, there was more negatives than positives. I just felt like with The Force Awakens. All right, I mean, I watch a lot of interviews and things like that, and the interview with Charlie Rose and George Lucas kind of hit me at some point where, when they were signing the contract, I watched the whole thing where they said that George Lucas is like, I'm giving it to Kathleen Kennedy, and Kathleen Kennedy's like, yeah, we want to do something for the fans, and we're gonna blah blah blah, and George Lucas is gonna be our advisor. Mm-hmm. Now, they kicked him out, and to me, why would you kick out the storyteller? Is Star Wars really a Star Wars movie without the storyteller? Is Game of Thrones without George R.R. Martin? And to me, like, with The Force Awakens, I kind of didn't want to believe that. I felt like George Lucas still had a little hand in that movie. But this movie, The Last Jedi, just completely wipes him off the map. There is no more, to me, yes, the Skywalker line is still there with Kylo Ren, but the development with Luke Skywalker, I mean, because basically it's all about Luke Skywalker, right? Luke Skywalker, Anakin. To me, that this is whole, 9 episodes is supposed to be about. And he even said it, like George Lucas said it, like, I want to make this like a family affair, and it's all about the Skywalkers. I mean, they could have finished the Skywalker line and did anything after episode 9. They have like so many things. They could, the ending of this movie could have been the ending of episode 9 with, with the kid grabbing the broomstick with the Force. Possibilities. There's going to be more users now. There's going to be, all these things. Ray could have been training these new Force users, but now you just have like two main characters that you kind of connect with, which to me is Kylo Ren and Rey. I mean, do you guys connect with anyone else? I don't connect with Finn. I don't connect with Poe. You know, I don't connect with these characters, these new characters. Like, they could have done that, like, starting from episode 9, and they could have made so many movies with them. And I thought that was the idea. But to me, I just felt like the essence of Star Wars died in this movie. You know,
Great.
You know, it's just, to me, yes, I mean, like, yeah, we have to let go of the past and things like this. But isn't us as collectors, as people who don't we like cling on to the past? And it goes on like with these kids when they grow up, they cling on to Power Rangers. And, you know, I never grew up with Power Rangers, but you got like, you know, like my brother who's 9 years older, like buying those Power Ranger toys and stuff like that. And for us, it's the same. It's like, you know, to me, I wish they finished off the Skywalker story in these last 3 episodes, and then move on from there and do whatever they want to do, you know. But they didn't, and I just feel like, you know, at this point, there's so many things. I mean, it's still redeemable. If J.J. Abrams comes back and just does like a phenomenal job with writing a story and explaining why things happened the way it did, but do it in one movie. You know, like what Thor said, that this movie should have been the part where everyone created a backstory and created this whole thing so that like it ends with the next episode. But there's so many things that they need to build up. But I know I could go on and on. To me, in terms of a score, I scored it a 6 out of 10. It's not the worst movie to me, like worst Star Wars movie. I still think that episode 2 and episode 1 are the lower ranks, but this is like right above that. So sorry, I mean, I just didn't want to go on and on like you guys.
He upset because episode 2, that's the one he likes, and I'm like, that's my third favorite. Yeah, you like that? We'll get into that later.
Yeah, that's for
we'll
another
episode.
Yeah, that's for another show. Yeah.
Hey, go ahead, man.
Gary.
Well, where do I start?
I see some sweat coming off, Gary.
Oh, Disney, if you're listening, please, I'm begging you, do not kill any more characters off. Please.
Gary
have
has
a backstory for the characters.
Gary has statue pre-orders he's got to worry about. Just think about Gary.
If not, then for episode 10, 11, 12, just get George Lucas back involved and get Gareth Edwards involved. Them two teaming up together to do 10, 11, and 12. It will save us. Please. No more joke lines, no more silly gags. Yes, a few little punchlines like what Han Solo used to do back in the day. Yes, not a problem. All right. But all this silliness about I'm going to dial you up on the Imperial Star Destroyer and have a chat with you before we end attack. Please stop. No more. Please, I'm begging you, please. Yeah, as a fans, like all the rest of you guys and people across the world who have grown up with watching obviously the films, it's a complete mess. It is a mess, and it needs sorting out. It does need sorting out. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, you know, and it breaks my heart to say that because obviously, you know, we all got a passion for Star Wars, and I walked out of the cinema and I was dejected. I thought, well, you know, how do I feel? I don't know how I feel. Either I feel like I've got the Force or have I not got the Force? You know, and it's like, what do you do? You know, I've got to go and watch it again. You know, or do I not go and watch it again? It's like, you know, and I shouldn't feel like that. I should feel like, I'm going to go in and watch it and be proud to watch it again. But it's so difficult because it's such a mess.
Yeah.
You know, why couldn't they? What they should have done, if they were going to go down this road, they should have done them first 6 films that have already been done. They should have just left the characters where they were. When they finished up on the Ewok planet and they were celebrating, they should have left them there and they should have brought all these new characters, Phasma, Rey, Finn, started episode 7 afresh. Right, so therefore we've got to get used to all these new characters, build their stories up, where they come from, where do they start, right? So we're starting again, all right, and then obviously somewhere down the line, episode 9 or whatever, then Snoke maybe cops it, right? But at least we've got a backstory to how he's come about, who he is, what he's done. Yeah, don't kill him off after halfway through the second film. Yeah, you know, Phasma, same thing. You know, it's the same feeling I've got for Darth Maul. What a character, right? Yeah. Got killed off. What the hell? What's all that about? You know, he's such a bad arse character, and he's been completely blown out the water. And I think, why? You know, these people need to be in the film longer, and so we can relate even more, because they were great characters. You know, to be great characters in the film. But it's just it's frustrating and disappointing to see. You know, with us being fans, you know, I just want to pull my hair out, even though I ain't got no hair. You know, but you know, anyway, that's why I'm going to leave it. I'll just pray to God that episode 9 is going to be good, and you know, I just really do. I don't know what to think, to be honest with you now, guys. Seriously.
Can I just add one more thing?
Yeah.
If they were going to bring these characters, these legendary characters, you know, Han Solo and everyone, and I just wish they just followed George Lucas' outline. If you didn't want him to direct or write the story, fine, which I agree upon. But just follow the outline and have like other people's use that outline and direct and write the script around it, and then and then after that do whatever you want, you know. But
well,
that's just me.
George Lucas actually did some scripts for the next 3, and he handed them to him. That came part of the deal, and they basically said that's not what we want to do, and they tossed it in the trash. I feel like maybe they played him to get the deal, and then as soon as they got the deal, they were like, "Oh well, we don't want to do your ideas." And Kathleen Kennedy was maybe, I don't know whether she was an insider or what, because you don't see them together at events anymore much, or like you know. So I don't know if that's soured that relationship. I don't think he's crying too much because he gets his Disney stock and everything and that, and he's probably cashing in pretty good and enjoying his retirement, but. As far as the film, I liked it. I came out of it. I did like it. I didn't love it. I didn't come out of it feeling like I thought I would feel. Like when I literally went to see it at 7 a.m. on Thursday. I had to get up at 5:30. Nothing gets me out of bed at 5:30 apart from Star Wars. I got out of bed to go and see it, and I was on the car all the way there in the dark. It was raining. It was a nightmare, and I was still happy. I was like, yes, Star Wars, and I was expecting to come out thinking, should I go back in because it's still 10 o'clock in the morning to watch it in IMAX and that, and I didn't. I came out of it liking it, but I had more questions in my head coming out of it than I did going into it. And I still think it's a decent film. I do, because I was looking at the score, looking at the acting from Mark Hamill, the twists, the action. You know what I mean, there was quite a lot of good points to take away from it. I like the fact that they took the risks. I knew a lot about Rian Johnson's work going into it. I've seen most of his films, so I knew we weren't going to get the Star Wars film we got. And like I echoed at the beginning, Disney are not thinking about us guys. They're not. And as much as I wish they were, it's not their agenda. Their agenda is, just like the kid at the end, is to basically push it on to the next generation. And as Garry said, maybe they should have left the other characters at home. And I think they did have a dinner with them all and said, do you want to do this? And they had the choice not to be in it. They wanted to be in it, so they basically brought them back. But the film, I think, is in the middle. Rodney, it's in the middle somewhere. I still think that the prequels for me, probably not Revenge of the Sith. I don't know. I think Revenge of the Sith and this are kind of like to and fro in the middle somewhere for me. I couldn't tell you which one's above it, on what day. I think the prequels are still below. I still think Rogue One's up there for me, apart from the Bogle-lit moment, which I don't like, but the rest of it I love. I gave it an 8.5. I'd probably give it an 8 now, purely because of me thinking about, hang on, the Kylo Ren flashback, he was a boy, and then he came, and the flashback Rey had, and also the flashback with Rey saying this is her first steps. What does that mean? You know what I mean? None of it. They didn't answer. Said one thing. They didn't answer one question we had in this film. Not one. They didn't answer who Snoke was. They didn't answer who Rey was for me. They didn't answer what happened with Luke, really, for me. The whole flashback was kind of completely thrown out. I don't even know. I think Disney are going to be very surprised at the audience reaction to this. I don't think they planned for this. I think they thought they had a home run. I think that they thought they'd done well. I think there's going to be a lot of people around the board table somewhere asking what happened. And I think Kathleen Kennedy has to take a lot of the guilt on this. I think I don't care what people think. I agree. Kathleen Kennedy gets rid of directors. She dictates policy. She dictates what happens. Yeah. And personally, I think she uses Star Wars to push her own social agenda and political agenda. But that's me getting into it for another reason.
No, I agree. I agree with that. That's she's the devil. Lucas sold his.
Rebels is
his
good.
love.
So I gotta give him credit for that.
Yeah, Rebels is good, but Dave Filoni actually went under the tutelage of George Lucas, so he still
that's Dave Filoni's
goes
baby.
to George Lucas for advice.
Yeah, that is Dave Filoni's baby. I don't think Kathleen Kennedy meddles in that. I think she sticks to the films. So
all I'm going to say now is that Kathleen Kennedy, you're giving me nightmares about Super Leia. Yeah, I can't sleep at night. Yeah, I wake up in the night. I've got cold sweats. Yeah, it's not right.
It's like this. We saving money right now. 2 years later, we come to UK. We got to see the movie with you guys.
But I don't know if you guys seen it. I posted it on the group forums where this was rated lower in terms of fan rating than was that Attack of the Clones and what's for was episode 1? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. It got lower. It was like 56%. Attack the Clones was 57%.
Yeah, I like the attack.
So they better look into what they did wrong.
But I'll tell you something though that I don't agree with. I've seen people who've not even seen the film saying they don't like it because they've heard stuff basically and seen stuff online.
Oh yeah.
Don't ever tell me you hate a film until you've seen it. There's no need for there's no need for bandwagon jumping. Go and actually watch the film because someone's saying I watched Jim Jeffries. I don't know if you watched Jim Jeffries' his comedian thing, and he got in hot water over this scene, and he said, if you actually write my stuff out in text and read it back in text, it's atrocious. It looks like I'm the most horrible man in the world, but if you watch my show, you know what I mean, it's different. And I agree with films. You've got to go watch a film. It's the score and everything. If you just write down, Luke is a Force ghost, technically, he dies. You know what I mean? It means a lot less than seeing him actually do all the stuff, so I don't agree with people jumping on I feel like this has been the bandwagon of the week. People are just jumping on the hate for The Last Jedi, and I don't feel like it should be hated. Like even Paradox says that it's not a bad film. I just feel like it's not what people wanted. But I don't think whatever they would have given you, I don't think it would have been what some people wanted anyway. So
it's a beautiful film. Don't get me wrong, but not a Star Wars film.
I've been to various conventions in the UK, like Star Wars celebrations and that, and we have thousands of people from all over the world who attend these events. And, not just myself of being a fan like the rest of you guys and obviously everyone else is watching. I mean, for me to feel disheartened and then to think about the amount of people that then go to these conventions and how they must feel, because obviously they're collectors and they get bags and toys and statues and things. Christ, how they must feel, what they must think, I feel bad I feel terrible for everybody else because if I'm feeling this way, how does everyone else feel? And I feel like as fans, we've been let down. I feel like we've been let down. And
I'm definitely not getting a Snoke statue or figure.
No.
Thor, do you want to give closing remarks from you and then just wrap it up because I've got to go to bed?
This was
a long one. Yeah,
this was a long one, but I mean, it seemed like it was only an hour long because it was it was good. We thank you, Gary, for coming on.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, Gary, thank
you, my brothers.
Pleasure.
Oh man, no Paradox. You part of the team now, so we call Java before you.
Thank you, guys, and sorry if I went like a little too much to the dark side.
That's cool, man. That's cool. And Chris, always a pleasure.
Thanks for letting me on the show again. We know you guys didn't heed my warning the last 2 episodes, so I will be hanging around like a foreshadow. And I'm glad that we've got some balance here. We've got some Mandalorians and we've got some passionate folks joining our show. So I look forward to seeing Gary again. And
most definitely.
Yeah.
Paradox Fett, definitely looking forward to talking.
I like that. Paradox Fett, I love it.
So thank you guys. I mean, we actually just did a show that talks about a movie and it's about the same length of time. So there you go.
Wow.
It's not my fault.
I didn't realize it. Yeah, wow.
But it was that good to talk about it. So if we can spend this much time talking about a movie, it impacted us all, and maybe that's something we can look at in the future. So thank you again for having me on the show. May the Force be with you all.
I just want to say thank you for having me on the show. It's been a great pleasure and privilege to be on the show. And I'd just like to wish everyone happy holidays and Merry Christmas to everyone, and much love to everyone and all your families. And God bless you all. And have a good one, people.
God bless.
Have a good one, people.
All right, see you on Friday night.
See you guys.
Bye. Hey guys.
Yep.